All right, so if you haven't seen the episode, we are going to jump into it, and we are going to spoil every single detail.
Yeah.
No stone left unturned. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody dies! Everybody dies!
At least I wish they did.
Oh!
Wow.
All right, the gloves are coming off.
The gloves are coming off, people. All right, if you're not
So you guys
for
are wearing
this-
gloves?
Dan's like, the gloves are coming off. I really like this episode.
Right, yeah.
You've been
This was my
lying to us
favorite.
this entire time.
This is my ultimate favorite episode.
No, I'm a slower processor. Like, I'm processing it when I edit the videos, like, in 4 or 5 days. So by next week, I'll have a solid opinion of it.
Right.
Because I will have watched every scene 42 times.
Right.
And my opinion a little bit changed last week after I was pretty happy with it. And then I was watching. I did notice a little stiff acting in several spots as I was watching it back.
Carson Teva.
was-
When they were walking. It
was a little rough.
That was rough.
Uh,
I still think he's good. I like him. I like him more than... Yeah.
Part of that is not necessarily the actor, but what I'm realizing is that part of it is just the actual script is kind of soft.
Right.
It's just very simple.
Yeah, it is.
It's not like Andor level or Academy Award winning level script writing. It's simple. It works for the story, but you're not going to get like super clever dialogue, even if they deliver it great. Except for Mando, and that's why we like Mando because he's a man of few words, and when he delivers it, like
those.
you had me at battle droids. Are you kidding me?
Right.
That's amazing. That's Mando for us.
That was a good
you know?
line.
But when they try to go beyond that, I mean, there's a lot going on.
Mando plays like Boba should have.
Yeah. Well, it's technically Boba's show.
Right. Well,
They just didn't use Boba.
do it right.
Yeah.
Get big.
So anyway,
Let's spoil some things.
Spoil
All
some-
right, we got to get into some
Jack Black.
some juicy
Yeah.
details here.
He's great. I love Jack.
I love him
Yeah.
as an
Does
actor.
not fit Star Wars.
No, not at all. If if you're gonna put Jack Black in an episode of Star
Dude,
Wars,
make him an alien.
make him like a
Make
a
him an
background
alien.
character.
Like a funny alien,
Yeah.
dude. That's what they should have
Yeah.
done.
Right.
They
This
should have made
was
him
just
a funny alien.
I don't know what they were going
It's not-
for.
It didn't fit.
It didn't
And
at
maybe
all.
it was who was with him. I don't know.
Yeah, I did not like that.
Lizzo.
I'm sorry if you like that person, Lizzo, but I do not.
Not
So
the appropriate.
it took me out, and her
of
acting was so
role models.
wooden. It was
It was
bad.
so
It was
bad.
just.
I was like,
That's what she's not an
Cheesy.
actor. I'm pretty sure that's. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's probably one of the first things she's ever acted in.
yeah,
That she's not an
probably.
actor, and she's clearly not a great one,
Yeah.
and shouldn't be.
and they gave her like a ton of dialogue.
Yeah,
And they made her like the most important person of the whole episode in
Right.
some ways, and I'm like,
This is
Get outta
Din's
here.
show.
Yeah.
well, and I also didn't like the fact that like they were like, oh, we're a democracy and all this stuff, but you have to come see us. Like
Right.
they locked them in that thing and brought them to them, and I'm like, okay, that's
Yeah.
Also, we went
Yeah,
to
you-
Disneyland in this episode. The Epcot Center. I was like, what is that?
kid gloves are coming off.
I don't. That's why I said it was Disneyfied,
Yeah,
and it's not good. I don't like that. Don't do that. Stay as far away from that place as you possibly can.
it felt like Hollywood and Disney like merged in this.
Yeah.
In this,
Yeah.
like just the whole culture of like Hollywood was what we were watching.
Yeah.
In some
Yeah.
ways, of this
And they were just
show.
I don't want
goofy.
that.
It was just silly the whole time. I was like, this is like, the same show where, Din just murders a bunch of Jawas because
Yeah.
they steal his ship.
Dude, that
Like
is
that's
more of what I
super
wanna see.
gritty. And then we go to, let's go to Disneyland. Let's all be silly.
Well,
And I was like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Like, do you guys know what this show is? Or are you just trying to make it like everything else? Garbage.
well,
That
we
part, yeah.
wow.
Anytime
wow.
we were
Okay, so
with-
he's gone full dark.
Full dark.
Every time we were with Jack Black and Lizzo, it just was not it.
No.
No, it took you right out of Star Wars. It
I'd
just
say
was
that
like,
was the worst part of it.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for
I think, yeah.
actors to fit into the tone of these shows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they have their own personas. And they bring these famous actors that are used to being on, lots of movie sets and things. And like, it's clearly a fun atmosphere when these actors are on the Mandalorian set. You can tell they're all having fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's like colors and food and all this stuff. So they're having a blast. But I think it's hard for them to maybe realize the tone because when they're on, this one was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. She's just like, have fun, be yourself, deliver what you deliver. But that works great. But I don't know if it always works for the tone from episode to episode for this show.
right, and that's
Like it worked for that, a one-off. If this was just like a special episode or something, yeah, it makes sense. Keep it lighthearted. but then we get a little miffed because then they drop like a huge
It's a-
transition as Mando hands over the darksaber.
Yeah.
In bright daylight, the darksaber in bright daylight.
about.
And
Yeah.
like somebody in the comments earlier said they should have had that like at first light,
Yeah.
that scene. So it's
Right.
kind of dark, it's kind of gritty,
It's
and they have that
transitioning, yeah.
that battle right out there in, not like a football field or whatever that was,
Right,
It
yeah.
felt a
Right.
little bit off tone wise.
We did see that coming though, with that episode that he gets it taken away.
Yeah,
with
well,
the
you follow
spider
the logic.
thing.
All you
Yeah.
have to do is follow the logic.
it's like,
there.
yeah, wouldn't that be her darksaber
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
And you called that
we
out.
did call it.
Yeah.
What was that? It was that episode.
That was episode 2,
Two,
technically,
yeah.
because
Two.
he technically lost to that
Technically,
Technicality.
technically. The Techno Union. No, he
Yes,
technically lost to that
technically I am.
Grievous creature,
yeah,
and so
And-
then she beat the Grievous creature, who technically had the darksaber,
Technically.
and then then she handed it back over to him.
Got me on
Well,
technicality.
yeah. We were like,
She was the rightful ruler.
why didn't she just
Yeah.
take it?
Wow, why did she just keep it?
Yeah.
She won it through combat. But maybe it was because it wasn't like official. She wasn't like,
Right.
I challenge thee.
So
Because it was a creature.
what you're saying is she got it on a technicality.
Yeah.
Got me on technicality.
Yes.
People in the comments agreed with us. They
Yeah.
called that in episode 2.
Yeah.
And the technicality worked. I mean, it makes sense, right?
Right.
Doesn't it make sense?
It makes sense, but I don't
They didn't have to
like
fight
it.
to like we asked that in one of our videos. Like, are they going to fight? Who's going to win the fight?
Yeah, I was hoping.
And then
I
Nick
actually
said-
was hoping they were gonna fight.
Nick said
Like,
true love.
True love always
and that
wins.
true love,
Does.
and it really does.
Kind of did.
Well, and in this episode, some of the best parts of this episode were Din and Bo together,
Right.
working together. It was
Yeah.
nice to see them working together on something.
And you got to see him use the darksaber. So you're like, oh shoot, he's gonna start learning maybe. And then
But
they
then no.
flip it around
Yeah.
and smack us on the face.
I
and
don't.
say nope.
I don't think we're mad at the fact that she got the darksaber
I'm
back.
not
I think
mad.
we're mad at the fact that what route they took with giving her the darksaber back.
yeah, in some ways,
You know,
I'm not mad, but we were thinking he keeps the darksaber, she gets the mythosaur.
the mythosaur.
Well, yeah, because this whole episode, like it felt like she was screwing up a lot with like being diplomatic and talking with people.
Yeah.
And she even asked him at one point what he thought. It was like, it felt like they were kind of leaning into Din being a better leader in some ways.
Right.
Because he was able to speak with other,
Ugnaughts.
the Ugnaughts. He was able to speak well with everybody around him.
Yeah.
And she was kind of fumbling in a lot of ways.
But it goes to show you they do need each other.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
They use, no, for sure.
Yeah. When she was not sure what to say or do, he was able to step in,
Yep.
and vice versa. When he wasn't quite sure what to do,
Or when he went off the rails.
or
Yeah.
went off the
Starts
rails,
kicking.
she's
I
like,
love
"What
that.
are you doing?" I was
B2
like,
battle
"Good
droids.
cop, bad cop" in that
Yes.
droid bar.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm gonna take your memory bank and
Right.
fry it in oil
Awesome.
or whatever." She's
That
like,
was
"What
one of
are
my
you
favorite
doing?"
I will
parts.
straight up murder
That's
you.
funny.
Is pretty much what he was saying.
See, those are the funny parts that aren't necessarily meant to be funny.
Yeah.
Right.
That
No.
fit the show,
And it fit the character.
not actual comedy.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
That's how
the
you
kind of-
write it. Yeah.
That's the kind of Star Wars humor that's out there,
Right.
It's more situational humor than it is like, oh, we're trying to be funny right now.
Yeah. Like we're gonna
Right.
force it to be funny.
Yeah.
And we're
Right.
Like, I don't want that.
Well, and we start, so the very beginning of this episode, it wasn't bad starting
Yeah,
off
the love
with the
scene
ship, and then the other Imperial
Yeah.
ship. Like, I was fine. It felt a little Star Trek in some ways.
It did.
But I didn't mind it because it
Yeah.
was still like Star Wars
Right,
creatures.
yeah,
At
yeah,
least they're
yeah.
making
You
the
got it.
effort
You
to
got it.
give the
Yeah.
aliens, and they're showing more of that, which I do appreciate that. But then they brought in the whole like love aspect between.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
wasn't
I think
it.
they said love like 5 times
I
in
love
a
you.
minute. I was like,
They haven't
Come on,
said
guys.
love in
I
the
love
Star
you.
Wars. I've
was-
watched some videos, and they haven't said "I love you" in the Star Wars since
Since the-
Disney took over.
yeah.
That's
Since the original
part
show.
that
This is interesting.
hurt me to watch.
Well, it was a little out of left field.
It
Like, all
was.
the
It
things that
was.
you send like this like very intense group of Mandalorians to
Right.
do, it's to
Yeah.
capture
Catcher,
like a Romeo and Juliet situation.
essentially.
you know,
a space Romeo and Juliet.
it was like you couldn't have sent them to kill some pirates or like do
Right.
something more like intense. I don't know.
I don't. It just
You could have showed
You're
their-
wasting my talents.
It wasn't executed right, and
No.
the love scene was not the love scene we were looking for.
Yeah, no. It was just it was
It was,
super,
I
it was
wanted
super
to-
cheesy.
I wanted to look away at some
There was-
point.
yeah,
it,
I was
it
like,
hurt.
I can't
It
watch
really
this.
hurt me.
Like a train wreck, like I
And
said.
As much as we're trying to ship Din and Bo, we were not trying to ship that.
Yeah.
the
Take
way,
that out of the box
way
right
they,
now.
Lauren, they're like Davy Jones sucking your finger.
Yeah, it was like
real weird.
please stop.
The way they
What are you doing?
interacted, the way like she turned her head and was like, "Oh no,
I can't do
I
it.
can't do
Like
it."
grass
Please
claws.
do that again, Matt.
Yeah, do it again.
Again.
Do it again.
I'm pretty sure you just swooned a couple ladies in
Oh
the
no.
chat.
Oh no.
Yes.
Got him.
Oh man,
no.
I think we just got a lot
That's-
more subscribers.
Yeah, we do.
Ah,
600, here we come.
just doing my duty.
We're past
Or,
600.
yes,
700, here we come.
Speaking of which, thank you everybody.
Yeah.
We're past 600 already. YouTube has not sent us a thing for that. I think the next one we're going to get is 1,000. So
we'll have to wait.
we'll have to
out.
wait. But thank
That
you
one
everybody.
might
We
be bordered
appreciate.
and framed.
Right.
Yeah, that one better be good. But
It
we
might be an
appreciate all of
actual
you.
one. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I
That's
did like
silence.
that we were like, are they going to go together to explore the galaxy like a buddy cop movie?
Yeah.
And then you see Bo's ship after that opening sequence, and you're like, all right. And then they showed us all three of them together.
Yeah, and we're like, yes,
this is what we've been wanting.
this is what we
They
need.
finally have a mission, and they go. Unfortunately, I think what happened is the first mission that they got was like, well, I guess they took control of the ship. Well, I guess we're in this car now. We have to go to the capital. Well, I
Right.
guess we got to chase these
Yeah.
droids down. I guess we got to, and then all that was over with, which was for me, it wasn't as bad. It was just kind of lighthearted fare, and then all of a sudden,
At least he said maybe we'll have to shoot our way out of this place, and I was like, yes, please.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
We're
kinda.
trying to figure out the tone because it kind of left heavy last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a heavy ending, and then this one we're like, all right,
It's
we're
more
picking
serious.
up, we're moving on, and then again, that's where it's hard on a TV show like this when you're doing all these grandiose things to keep the tone consistent
Right.
without, messing it up. I don't know, like Andor was able to do it, other shows were able to do it. I think Mandalorian, though, if you look at all the other seasons, there have been moments of episodes that were like
Yeah.
this for me already.
Definitely. I mean, they're
So in the
there.
Mandalorian tradition of these 3 seasons, there have been moments like this. And it's not like it's completely out of left field, It was maybe the farthest they've gone in some ways. But I
Yeah.
appreciate the campiness of the droid bar and the chasing through the
That was a
scene. It
well
felt like
done scene,
Clone
actually.
Wars like brought to live action. I was like, that's pretty creative. That's a
Yeah.
lot of extras. That's a lot of set pieces.
It's an ambitious
It's
undertaking.
an ambitious,
Yeah,
and sometimes
that
it
was a
falls
lot of
short.
droids.
Sometimes you don't need all that, to
Right.
go to this
It was
giant
very
city,
crowded.
But it's fine. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like our mission shouldn't be, though, in some ways, to make it a live action Rebels as much as we should try and make it more like original trilogy feel.
Yeah.
I feel like that's part of where I'm getting a little mixed up in some ways. Like I really like Clone Wars and Rebels for what they are, and they fit really well in that animated sequence.
Right.
And that's when you can play with that tone a little bit better. I almost feel like, but
Yep.
when you don't pick a tone
You
for an
don't-
episode or for
Stay in your lane.
a season,
Pick a lane.
I mean, think about like some great TV shows out there. I mean, what would you say is some of the best TV shows out there?
Oh gosh, you just asked me on the spot here.
Right.
Right.
Like they're usually like pretty. They're pretty
Seinfeld?
consistent.
Like,
Right.
Psych.
They also know when
They have
to
like a
stop.
story.
They also
Yeah.
know when to stop.
Yeah.
You can't go too long. Too many seasons and you run out of ideas and then they just suck and are
Yeah.
terrible. There's
Yeah.
been too many shows like that.
And people are like, why is this show even exist
Looking at
anymore?
you, DC.
Yeah.
Wow, shots fired. Matt's got a hot
that's
taste
why,
tonight.
That's why I don't watch DC shows. Because they're just
They were
garbage
great.
fires.
They're great at the beginning and then boom,
Boom.
they suck
Headshot.
because they dragged it out too long.
Yeah, I mean that was like a lot of people really loved The Walking Dead in the beginning, but they went a little too long.
Yeah,
for their
they're-
own good,
yeah.
but that was a very serious tone.
I
Not that
never
it always
watched
has to
that,
be
I don't know.
serious. I mean, you talk about like Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad's like a really popular
That's-
one out there,
yeah,
and that has a very
Breaking Bad.
serious tone. But there are moments of levity in the show.
Right.
But there's a clear, concise through line,
Yeah.
and everything in every episode is moving the story forward. It's not a side trip. This really feels more like The Mandalorian feels more like a serialized like Star Trek episodes.
Yeah.
Like they have a mission, but it's very vague mission. It's just to explore the galaxy.
Yeah.
You know what I
The
mean?
boat to
And-
go where no man has gone.
exactly. And that's kind of what this is feeling like in some ways because it's like side mission, side mission, side mission, side mission. And then, but at the beginning and end of every episode, it's like, oh, you get a little bit more of the plot.
Yep.
The
There
main
you go.
plot. You
There
get a
you
little bit more. You get a little bit more.
Well,
And
that's for us. We want to stay on target. And in the comments here, if I can,
Got 'em.
Aaron Havoc said, I mean, if we're completely honest, this episode doesn't really diverge from the Mando formula. Mando has a job, gets roped into doing someone else's bidding in a roundabout way to get what he wants.
yeah.
And
But
that's
we don't
pretty much
want
true.
that consistently.
Right.
We want to start getting it. We don't have a big bad yet, and
And then KG said, when there's
Technically.
only 8 episodes, stay on target.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
So
See, if there
I
were
think-
16 episodes, sure,
Right,
you
yeah.
could do this a
Exactly.
few times.
That would be fine.
8 episodes though.
Bad
It's like,
Batch
I
did
want
it.
substance.
100 times.
Yeah.
and
I
only
know.
16 episodes.
Yeah, and they had
think they
3
know
good
that.
episodes.
But if they did 16 episodes and like 8 of them were fluff, we like the show nobody would be watching it. You
Right.
know what I mean? Because there's
Right.
just not.
Well, that's
enough
why you
main
don't
story.
do half fluff and half serious. You do
True.
like
You
2
want-
or 3 fluff.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like there's, it's tricky how they do this. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I feel like they've been giving us more, like wedging in like important story plots in these, like the Coruscant episode that we didn't love, and then this week's episode that we didn't particularly.
A lot of it's execution.
Yeah.
And what they chose to
Yeah.
go with. You
And
know what I
lack
mean?
Yeah, the
thereof.
story's solid. The story's still solid. Like they had to go. She had to reunite the Mandalorian. She needs those people.
Yeah.
That particular group, right?
They
Those
could have.
Mandalorians.
Yeah, I mean,
They
that's
could have
what that-
skipped the whole middle, done what they needed to do, and started the 3 episode arc for
Right.
the end of the season to build up to the big bad.
or
Yeah.
at least made this episode more about just those Mandalorians and Din
Right, yeah.
and Bo.
Right,
You
yeah.
know, forget all that other stuff, or at least have them working against each other. Like somebody hires them to do a job, and that's the only way they can meet up with this. What's his name? The new guy. What's his name?
Axe-Wolf.
Axe Wolf. Yeah, that's the only way they can meet up with them, because they're like far out there.
Right.
Nobody knows where they're actually at.
They're not
But
at
you got to
Disney
hire
World.
them to do something. Like, what if Bo and Din hire them to do a job, and that's how they meet them, or they're like doing the same job so they can meet up with them and win them over. That sounds more interesting to me than like a Wall-E, iRobot, Disney World side quest.
Right.
They also didn't elaborate on the whole ending of the last episode of the.
Oh, they didn't even like talk about
Yeah.
like why she can take her helmet off.
no,
Yeah.
no, no.
Or you
Oh
like,
wait, when was?
Yeah,
no,
that was the last
very
episode.
ending.
oh, about
with the spaceship.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah,
Mandalorian.
yeah. They'll
Like-
they'll touch upon that.
And they showed
Yeah,
Moff
you're right
Gideon
about that.
in the
In the opening.
opening.
Yeah.
You'd assume there's going to be
Right,
a little
it
more.
would tie
and they
together.
didn't.
Because
Yeah.
again, this is the third to last episode. We should be at this point. I thought we were going to be getting a 3 arc act,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I think is the way to go. I think that they're really messing up by doing serialized episodes.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to do it maybe once or twice, but do a 3 arc act. Have a beginning, middle, and end. Make it basically a long format movie, like a 2-hour movie, 2.5, whatever it is.
Just like Andor used to do.
just like Andor
You
used to
good
do.
I ain't know.
Andor was like
Good
three,
people.
was it 12 episodes though?
I still
Yeah,
think
it's 12 episodes.
I was thinking Mandor was good. Mandor,
Mandor.
Mandalorian was gonna be like because I like the action. I figured I was gonna like this season of Mandalorian more, but I think Andor's still outshining it right now.
Yeah.
Ooh.
There are-
Action wise.
I'll say there are certain scenes in Andor that blow this series away
Yeah.
with just the dialogue and the monologues. But
Yeah.
I feel like Andor still fell flat with the end and like some of the execution of the action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very end was.
It just wasn't as
underwhelming.
satisfying. Yeah, it was underwhelming. It just wasn't as satisfying as I wanted it to be. And I feel like this show in some ways is they're trying, but I just feel like they're not committing and they're not taking it as seriously. Like that, like to
Right.
your point, Dan, like with Bryce Dallas Howard being more like, oh, just have fun. It feels like, I mean, there are fan films that are better than this episode. I'm not trying to be rude, but they at least know how to have the tone. But it feels like in some ways like a not serious fan film. This episode,
Yeah.
for certain parts of it. And then to drop the bomb at the end of him handing it over at the very end of a very silly episode was just jarring, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, let's work up to this. Like, why couldn't that be like a big moment where, I don't know, they had to do something huge together and that was
Right.
the only way they could convince, which it was
Right.
still the way, but it was like in
They-
broad daylight. It wasn't epic looking.
They waited
No.
to the end where they had to cram it into a short 3-minute
Yeah,
part
they're
of
like,
it,
oh,
too.
this is just an afterthought.
They didn't give it enough
Yeah.
time to really.
The fight was cool between
But
Axe Wolf and
they could have.
Bo. That was a
like
good.
you were
I
saying,
liked
they
that
could have
fight.
built up to it better.
And
more.
they should have done it at night
They should have.
or
Yeah.
at like dusk, like Dan was saying, and then
Dusk
it
in a
ended.
battle arena.
And then it ended at night with her igniting the darksaber at
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
And that would look really
Night.
cool.
Honestly, for me, I don't know why. I guess I like cloudy skies, but apparently that's why Andor hit me.
Sky.
But sometimes in The Mandalorian, like when Boba Fett showed up in last season, was it last season? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that whole fight on that one planet with the Imperials showing up and he's wrecking shop with the hammer and,
Yeah.
you know, was like broad daylight, like full bright sunshine daylight. And for me, that just doesn't tell me that it's like epic. You watch any like epic war movie or when there's a good fight sequence, there's like storm clouds up or there's rain or there's, you know, at least not bright daylight where like, hey, the sun's out, let's have an epic battle.
Right.
Every epic battle, even the one that we didn't particularly love in Obi-Wan, at least it was like nighttime and darkish, you know. That whole series was too dark, but
Yeah.
like they didn't have any lights on the set.
Nope.
But
They
this
ran out of lights.
daylight for this kind of, that's what I mean. And I feel like Mando does that too much for like epic moments. It's
Yeah.
just like broad daylight all the time and all these planets. It never gets cloudy and never changes. So it just feels like one note as far as the setting goes. No matter what planet they go to, is broad daylight, bright, full sun all the time. And now we're gonna just deal with it. And for me, that's just a weird personal pet peeve.
Right.
When epic things are happening, I want something to help set the tone, not just the music, but the music helps. But the rest of the look,
Yeah, and
you know.
and I don't feel like it was earned. That's the thing. Like the epicness of him giving the dark saber to her at the end just did not feel earned. I know they were trying to make it feel earned by her defeating Axe Wolf, but it wasn't. We had a very silly episode, and then you're gonna drop that.
Yeah.
You
But
need almost an entire episode to build up to that moment, and it needs to be specifically geared towards that being the end. Not
It feels
not
like-
a
it feels
weird
like-
side thing going on.
It reminds me of when Boba Fett were like, how did he get out of the Sarlacc? How are they going to do a whole series?
Yeah.
And then like
They
in
skip over
30
it.
seconds,
They
he's like,
barely
he just-
touched upon
They
it,
didn't even show. It was just like a time lapse and he's out.
and it
I
didn't
feel
even
like
make
that's
sense.
a big
And sometimes-
part they needed to explain.
Yeah, and these epic
failed.
moments, like you just need to take your time a little bit more and cut out the rest of the other stuff. Spend a little more time. Like just let them sit there and stare each other down for like a minute. You know what I
Right.
mean, or something
Right.
to like set the tone. The storm clouds roll in. Here we go. You know, but
Instead
that's,
of making Lizzo night like
It just-
Grogu,
it feels
Right.
like yeah,
let's
you-
cut that scene and
What
let's
in the
go
world,
to like a serious moment
what
where we
was-
can linger on like a fight.
But
like, make it a
I
Western.
loved the fight,
that-
and I think that was epic.
That was a highlight.
It's just everything around it
because
just
we actually
didn't
got
deliver.
to see some action.
That
like
was
some
so good.
Mandalorians fighting like
Yes.
seriously.
Yeah.
And then
Like,
seeing them, it was like Clone Wars. Here's the with the blue flags we were talking about, and they're all there
yeah,
at their little encampment, despite the daylight, and they were playing football.
Yeah.
But everything else about it was really cool looking. It just
it looked
just,
awesome. Their fleet looked impressive. I
yeah.
was
It's
like,
just the
that is
tone,
cool.
right? It just the tone was just missing.
It was
just-
all over
It
the
was
place.
all over the place.
And,
you
and
know?
it feels like because it's a TV show, I feel like it's not doing it justice.
Yeah.
Like I almost need this to be a movie. I
Mhm.
feel like then people take it serious enough and they go to the nth degree with it. I feel like because it's a TV show in some ways, we're going off the rails on certain things. We're not taking it as serious as if it was a movie that has to land well, and they're not treating it that way.
They also don't seem to have enough storyline to put into 8 40-minute episodes
Yeah, they're-
compared to a 2.5-hour movie.
Right.
So they're adding a lot of fluff and a lot of stuff we don't necessarily want to see.
It's almost like they give the directors or they have like a goal they want to get to, but they don't know how they're going to get there. So they give like certain points that they have to meet for that episode. So you have to have this happen in the episode, and you have to have this happen in the episode. But pretty much everything else is up to you. Like
Right.
that's almost what it feels like.
Yeah.
And that's not a great recipe for a
And
great
it's
show.
repeating itself every time on
It
those
is.
parts.
Right.
I mean, not every time, but
Which I feel like they're leaning into, which I wouldn't necessarily lean into that. They're like, well, that's how Mandalorian's always been. If you start doing that kind of stuff and not trying to make the show better or change, then you're missing the mark.
There's a lot of people in the comments that really liked, or they're going along with some of what we're saying now in the comments
Yeah,
about the
I've seen
scene, the
those.
text, or the tone follows Gab Z27. The tone really does seem to be dictated more by the location planet of the episode than what would serve the overall story.
Yep.
And then KG, Bo getting the saber could have happened in a cooler way.
Mm-hmm.
Olivia Roll, low-key kind of ship Axe and Casca.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too.
I mean, it feels like, yeah.
I'm okay with
They're
it.
moving around. Low-key. There's a lot
But
of
they
ships
never
going
ship
on.
the ones that like we want. We
I
get
know.
like a Quarren with like tentacle face
Yeah.
and like a fish dude.
Calamari.
Calamari
Yeah.
I'll
making
never get
out
that.
instead
Get
of
over
instead of getting Bo and Din hugging at least, or
I know, give
hand
us-
holding or something. I would take that any day
I know.
over Lizzo and
Jack Black.
Jack Black holding hands and being as silly as possible.
It just felt weird.
It was.
Hannah Roll, I think Den needed more action with the saber before he handed it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never even taught him how to
That
use it.
hurt me
Yeah,
because I wanted to see
Yeah.
Din
Wreck shop.
that and just grow and use the darksaber. I wanted to see him
Yeah.
rule Mandalore with the darksaber, really, or
Well,
them
both of
together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause
But I
she was
wanted to
gonna-
see him use the darksaber and keep the darksaber.
Yeah.
I don't hate that she has it, but I
In some ways, it makes sense.
yeah,
You know,
it does. But
when
That's why
she
it's-
said
yeah.
to them, though, that part about like he's every bit as Mandalorian as like that was pretty
That was a
epic.
nice
was
moment.
cool.
That
I
was
did
like
that
she's
moment.
standing up for her guy, but
Oh,
she's
he's
also
validated.
standing up for a fellow Mandalorian.
I
Like,
feel good.
just mark my words, there's a short coming out on that.
Yep.
It just was set up. I mean, this stuff writes itself.
It's a good thing he was wearing a helmet because he was blushing.
He's like, oh, go on.
Stop.
Stop it.
Yeah, Jane Doe said Din had problems wielding the darksaber. He didn't want it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I get
he
that.
wasn't a leader.
Yeah,
He
wants.
didn't
He's
wanna
got
be a
whistling
leader.
birds.
But he better get the mythosaur.
Yeah, that's what some
something.
Yeah,
people are
'cause-
saying.
right?
Yeah.
It feels like they're sidelining him in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That's
and
the problem.
I saw that comment way up there.
It feels
at
like
one
they're
point.
sidelining Din for Bo-Katan, which in some ways kind of makes sense. But this show is called The Mandalorian. I know people say it's The Mandalorian, so that could be any Mandalorian. I
Right.
get that. But he's the main character of the story.
Right.
And he's still along the way. He's
That's
still there.
who's been
but
in it the first 2 seasons. So like
Right.
at this point,
Yeah.
you'd assume he's the Mandalorian we're talking about.
I think it's almost like every season, it's focusing on a different Mandalorian. You know?
Right. Yeah.
It's like the Mandalorian was, Grogu, and then
I
Din,
gotta
and
talk
then
about Grogu.
Bo now,
Let's hear your stuff.
and episode or season 4. It's there's 2 episodes left now.
Dose.
Makes me
Yeah, and we're
nervous.
like, what is the point of these 2 episodes?
But
still?
they have to be hard hitters. If we
They
get
gotta
any,
be
if we get any
huge.
fluff, they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves.
yeah.
But they're gonna deliver. I mean, John
Let's hope.
and Dave, man, can they deliver a finale?
Yeah.
I'm just
That's
they
true.
know
They
how to
have
deliver.
delivered finales very well.
I was hoping the only thing I'm disappointed about, and maybe the chat can comment or not, but why didn't we get IG-11's part with those Ugnots?
right.
Yeah, that was a good point. You were
We
talking about
needed-
that.
Unless they haven't even come close to adding to that.
Yeah, they haven't
was like an
gone
empty
back to that
storyline.
since what was that, episode 1?
Yeah.
They haven't
It
gone
was like
back.
you're like, okay, well, he's gonna go get IG-11's parts, and now here we are, like 3 weeks later or 4 weeks later. Like,
Seems like
that was a perfect opportunity to be like, oh, by the way, thank you for helping us. Here is this thing.
We
or
heard
whatever.
you needed this.
Yeah.
I feel like that was
I
a
have
big
spoken.
part of the first episode, and
Yeah. Now it's just like, nah, it's not gonna happen.
it's
So
like
we're moving
they
on.
had a storyline to go along with that, and then they had to throw it away
Yeah, and then they changed it for some
after
reason.
that first episode.
I feel like
Yeah.
they're probably going to bring him back.
They got it. I mean, they
the
got it.
next episode or the last episode, so
They
that
gotta
they don't
elaborate on that.
completely waste that storyline, or
Right.
otherwise they're just that's incompetence.
And
They
then
don't.
something, I think this one may end like they said yesterday. Somebody said he might get hit in the head, and to save him, Bo has to take his helmet off.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he's definitely taking his helmet off at some point
in the
at end
season
of this
finale, it's
season.
got to be, right?
It's,
Because
Yeah.
now even Grogu's kind of been half sidelined, not really, but
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's
and
just
that's
kind
what I
of
was
going.
going to go into.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So Grogu, I still think that Grogu was not originally designed to be in this
Right.
season.
Yeah.
I really think that he was not written into the season until Disney told Jon Favreau and Lucasfilm that Grogu has to be in it. And then that's why they worked him into the Book of Boba Fett on bringing him back. Because there's so many things, it's like he is not integral to the story at all. Like you could
Right.
have, like especially in this episode, he was just kind of there.
multiple times he gets left with a baby situation.
I'm not gonna lie. At
Yeah,
one
I
point, I
mean-
was like, I didn't even realize he wasn't on screen.
Yeah.
I mean, in this episode, he got left with Lizzo and Blackjack.
Blackjack.
Is that
I'm
That's
dyslexic.
his alter ego.
Don't worry about it.
His Star Wars name is Blackjack.
Yeah.
And then what? In the one they had to, in the Raptor one, he was left with the Mandalorians back into.
Yeah.
Then he's
Armor.
been left with Pelly.
Pelimoto.
Once already. So I mean, that's 3 episodes, and we're 5 episodes in. He's been left 3 times of the 5 times, I believe.
Yeah.
Probably more. I don't know. And was gone for, I'd say, at least half, if not more, of the movie.
Right, and that's why it makes more sense to have just left him out of this season. I mean, I get that they kind of tried to move his story along with getting his flashback sequence, but you could have done that in a later season. You could have done that in season 4. You know,
That's
Right.
true, though. The flashback sequence was really good.
that was
though.
good.
That
I
was
did
good.
enjoy it.
They haven't followed up on that either, and I don't
it's-
think they're going to.
No.
It's still never. I like the flashback sequence, but it just never hits fully. It's never one Hondo. There's
Right.
always certain things
Never
I'm
one
like,
Hondo.
I feel like they could have done a little bit more. And maybe it's just the whole show, like I'm saying, the show aspect to like the movie quality.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying, and I'm not like dissing them for that, but it's just, I don't know. Maybe if they just had a bigger budget or they had like a bigger scope, they had to really think about things a lot harder and refine it. That's mostly my problem with a lot of this series is like it's just not refined enough. I feel like it's there's too many silly moments. There's too many things that they haven't thought completely through. Like we don't have any ships,
Right? Yeah.
you know how are
We
got
gotta
to
relocate,
World?
but we don't got any ships.
Yeah, so it's like silly stuff like that.
Teleportation.
Yeah, and like time jump stuff is weird.
Yeah.
Like he would have been dead, Din in the season in episode 2 for how long it took Grogu to get there and back, probably.
Exactly.
And also that kid who got barfed out with no
Right.
with no juice on him.
There's no,
nothing.
Decomposition.
And how did he not die like 3 days earlier whenever he first got taken?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's
Whiplash, man.
what raptor's waiting to eat?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
to
pick
feed
something
their-
up, you're gonna be eating mid-flight.
That'd be like going to a restaurant and ordering food and then waiting like 3 days to eat it.
It's like,
You're like, oh yeah, now I got room for this. It's like, what do you mean you got room for
why'd
it?
you go that day? Then?
Right? Why didn't you just go that day?
Like you really,
I didn't feel like it.
it feels like some ways like George Lucas in the original trilogy definitely had people over his shoulder being like, I don't know, George, that's a little too far. Maybe you should try and make it a little more realistic
Let's
here.
rein it in.
But then like in the prequels, he went like nobody was really saying no to him with a lot of things.
Yeah.
The story's there, but then the execution goes a little off in some ways. And he's definitely not a actor's director. So there's that.
Right.
And this show in some ways it's like, maybe they needed some more people, the more common sense like
Yeah, like
I think you guys are going a little far with this.
let's back it up a bit.
Maybe we should back it up a
Yeah.
little bit. But the problem is if you're already committed, I think that's half of it. I think they're committing and then
And then
they can't
realizing
change
afterwards.
it. Yeah, so they do the best with what they have, and that might just be a TV show type thing,
Yeah.
So
And TV
Right on,
shows
right
I
on.
feel like aren't normally as well acted, maybe.
Yeah.
But come on.
Come on. Come on.
That's
you look a
Smolder.
little constipated there.
did anyone say anything about his smolder
Come
in the chat?
on.
My smolder.
Fact checker. I
They
want to
might. They might have.
Emojis. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there were some emojis of people like fainting,
Oh, he's got the-
sweating.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got the eyebrows going.
Ooh,
Good stuff. There's some good comments here. You guys want me to jump into some of these comments?
Yeah, jump into some of those.
Let's see. I got one here from Aaron Havoc. I mean, if Din is thriving on technicalities when dipping in the waters and retaking the creed, Din fell into the water before getting to the "I shall not remove my helmet" part
Right.
of the creed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So technicality is a foot here.
I don't know. Yeah. I think something's going to happen where they're going to change the rule somehow.
I mean, at this point,
and
like,
everybody's going to be like, yeah, that's okay.
after that big reveal of the last episode, you'd think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I think the story that John and Dave wrote is pretty airtight.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of the delivery. You have like your story on paper, you have your story in the filming phase. Once you cast everybody that you think you need to be in there or whatever, and then you have your final edit. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's just taken on. It's changed a little bit from. It's being delivered differently than maybe Favreau and Filoni wrote it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Are
But-
they just focusing completely on Ahsoka?
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
But
That's
There
what-
was a few
um,
comments about
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert G says, I think I know what they're doing. John Favreau did say the Mandalorian episodes depends on Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew. So everything we want will likely happen in Ahsoka, then continue in season 4 of Mando.
But
Yeah.
I'm just okay. I'm sick of Star Wars like being like, oh, the next one's gonna be great. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
You know, like no.
You had-
Deliver on this one, because the problem is with Star Wars and Lucasfilm lately is they don't deliver,
Right.
and then they get diminishing returns. Like nobody's coming back. I mean, even the ratings for this season
They're
have
not
not been
great.
very
Yeah.
good.
Do you
I mean,
think
the
it
Nielsen
would-
ratings did not show very well?
Do you think it would have been weird if they really are waiting for Ahsoka to continue, if they didn't make this a show and made it a 2-hour movie and cut
Right.
out all the fluff that we didn't need and the stuff that kind of led into season or Ahsoka and then season 4? I feel like, you think that would have been weird to change a show into a movie just for that specific reason?
Not if it's solid.
No,
Right.
yeah. not
I
if
feel like
it's
that would be
good.
better at this
Yeah.
point of what we're getting.
Yeah.
Because
Eh,
we're getting too much fluff. If we would have gotten just what we needed,
Right.
I think it would have been a lot better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes lengthening things and adding more if you're not specific about where you want to go and have a good enough story that really fits all that. Like, I always think a book should be adapted into a long format TV show. That's the best way, in my opinion. You do it and you do it justice, and you can take as much time as you need to. So, because condensing a book to a movie, sometimes you miss a lot of great content in there. But with this being original concept, it's like you're lengthening it for lengthening's sake.
Yeah.
And sometimes you really need to cut the fat to make it better.
Like, I just don't see Jon Favreau writing any of that sequence on that planet where he has to go down and deactivate
No.
the droids.
It don't-
Absolutely
Like, there's
not.
no way he wrote that in like
No.
his rough draft or even the second draft. And Favreau or Filoni would definitely. I don't think they would do that.
I don't. Yeah.
It
You know
feels
what
a
we
little
need is-
Filoni-esque, though,
Filoni-esque.
with, Rebels,
Rebels,
and
yeah.
stuff like that.
I
It
mean,
does feel like more live-action
I
Rebels.
guess.
and it just doesn't hit the same as
No.
an
You know,
animated versus
yeah.
live
you
action.
get to
Yeah,
see,
maybe.
you get to see Din and Bo working together
Mhm.
specifically, just the two of them. There was no Grogu this time
Right.
on a mission, and that's
He was
great.
helping Lizzo, and
Like,
Lizzo
we've been-
really liked him. So
We've been wanting them to
he
be
won a
together,
game.
right? It's just unfortunate we didn't feel like the particular setting that they put him in to start was maybe the most epic, right? We were
Right.
expecting a little more, or maybe a moment where they, tripped over and bumped heads and like, whoa, where they're a little flirtatious. At least give us that, right?
Yeah.
If they're going to be
Right.
together,
yeah,
don't like
especially a whole episode about love.
Right.
It felt like a whole episode about love, but
Give us something there.
it's there's some people that are depressed. JQ said I'm depressed in this season. I don't think you need to be depressed though.
Yeah,
I think there's a
so
lot
we're
to
going
be
a little
excited
heavy.
about.
We've definitely talked a lot about the negatives.
The
Let's
Din
touch on
and
some
Bo
positives to bring it
is-
the
around.
positives is the
Dimbo.
fact that
Dimbo.
they went together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dinbo.
And not separated it and jumping
Yeah.
back and forth between the two or whatever.
And you said too that you really liked them working together as like a detective thing. Like
Oh,
the whole
yeah.
detective
Yeah,
I
thing
like
was
that
fine.
detective
That was
aspect.
cool.
That was
wasn't
fun.
bad. That I liked it, and yeah, there was some funny, like the right funny aspects into it.
Yeah, in those scenes as
Played
them being
together.
Good
detectives.
fun.
Yeah.
Not
Him
bad
kicking
funny.
over the droids. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Yes.
him doing it his own way, how he wants to do it, and
This is the way.
I mean, essentially, it worked.
Yeah. I found out the defective one, didn't I?
That part wasn't so bad. It was just still a lot of fluff, nonetheless.
Really, and he was. I did like the part whenever they were tasked with doing that, and then he's like,
Oh,
"You
yeah.
had me at battle droids."
Yeah.
So good.
That was a good line. I like
He's
that.
he's got the good one-liners, unlike
Yeah.
Wrecker.
He really does.
Yeah.
He's definitely very Western-esque.
yes.
Speaking of
I
the
like
battle
that.
droid, Siosin said, but anyway, that battle droid ran like a track star.
I know, right?
Okay.
We mentioned that. I've never seen a any
B2
droid run
B2
like
battle
that.
droids don't move like
They
that.
are tanks, man.
Yeah.
They're,
They're
like
like-
They made 'em look-
slow-moving tanks that just
Shuffle,
blast
shuffle.
everything away.
Yeah.
They also made him look ridiculous. You've never seen him pick up some like heavy things like
Yeah.
that. I feel like, or he was moving too human-like.
I'm saying.
I think that's what they did. I think it was an actual person.
Yeah, it was. It was
In
a
a-
CG. Yeah.
in a-
And it
like a
mocap
green suit.
didn't
Yeah.
like a
do
mocap
right.
suit.
Yeah.
It just didn't sit right.
Yeah, I'll say this: if the B2 battle droids acted that way in the Clone Wars, then
I don't think the clones
Separatists would have
stood
won
a chance.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that as well.
So-
that Christopher Lloyd ended up being like a separatist, right? That
Yeah,
was
see,
like,
that was a
yeah.
good aspect of the story.
That was a good cameo.
Yeah.
that was the cameo that was the only cameo we needed in this episode.
It was 100%.
The rest of it was
Hondo.
just a babysitter for
One Hondo.
Grogu.
Yeah.
And if they spend so much time finding a babysitter for Grogu, just leave him back with the armor while Denim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you don't need those people. But I thought Christopher Lloyd. By the way, he's getting pretty old, but
Yeah.
he did a good job of that cameo. And then because of how they played it, like Nick, like you were saying with the separatists and.
Like, yeah, that's cool. I like that. More of that.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, like we said,
Little
the
throwback.
whole episode was all over the place. It was just like,
And that's why you,
You
didn't know
know.
how to feel. It was like an emotional
Yeah.
roller coaster or like a tonal roller coaster where
Yeah.
you're like, okay,
It was
we're
tone
serious
deaf.
now? Oh, what? We're in Disney World now? And
Yeah, right.
We're meeting Jack Black?
yeah.
What is happening right
Didn't
now?
say-
I honestly wanted to hear the rest of Christopher Lloyd's monologue
Yeah.
about Count Dooku, but
Yeah,
it was
that
cut
was-
short by Bo.
Yeah, that was
Which is-
awesome.
It was kind of funny, but it was like, just let him talk. I want to hear him out.
Let's hear this.
Well, and it was like the right age. Like he was the right age for it
Yep.
because
Right.
like he's old,
He
and
lived
that was a
through
long time ago. And I like the part that he said Dooku was a visionary, and he's
Yeah.
about democracy. Because really, if you do look at Dooku's philosophies, he was about democracy and freedom for people.
Yeah.
It was the emperor
His
that was twisting him.
Execution on it.
Yeah,
and-
that made it wrong, and he was playing both sides. He was playing chess with these people, but Dooku really was, when you think about it, his perspective.
He initially set out.
Yeah,
to do
he
the
had
right
good
thing.
intentions
Yeah.
that were turned wrong.
That
you
was
know?
so good
They were twisted.
in that animated thing we saw.
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Tales of the Jedi.
Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, that
Tales
was
of the Jedi. Do you guys like
fantastic.
Tales of the Jedi in the chat? We analyzed all of those.
That was good backstory on both.
That was good, people.
Count
It was
Dooku
unfortunate
and,
they dropped that
Ahsoka.
along with Andor. We were trying to watch that and Andor, or trying to analyze both.
I
of
don't
those
even
together.
think we finished that.
I don't think
We didn't do
the
Oh,
last
I think we
episode
missed
of
the
Ahsoka,
last
so-
All right,
episode.
we'll have to
Which
do that
I
when
think was
Mando
really
ends.
good.
It was. It was one of my favorites. But there were some comments. People agreed about Secret Songs 20. I thought Hellgate's reveal was interesting, but they
Yeah.
shot him too soon. I wanted to hear why he turned
I
against
know,
his own
right?
people.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
that's how you build a universe in Star Wars.
And now he's going to prison, though. I mean, he could come back.
Yeah, and I didn't like how
I
he was
did
like,
not like that.
how he was like apologetic for what he did.
Yeah,
It's like, I
that's-
mean, I understand. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry I offended you,
Betrayed you because he was supposed to be like,
but like,
yeah.
no, stick to your guns.
Yeah, don't
you
go
still
back
believe
on
you still
yourself.
believe in what you did.
Yeah, obviously you believed in it enough to
But-
basically sabotage your whole
treason.
planet.
Well, even that was
He
a
pretty much
society.
apologized for
Yeah.
doing it, and it's like, no, you
It was
don't
a tonal
apologize for doing
shift
it.
in the episode, a span of 5 minutes. Like
Yeah.
5 minutes earlier, he was like a zealot.
Yeah,
5 minutes later, he's like, I'm really sorry.
and he was like, oh, I'm ashamed of what I've done. It's like, no,
but
It,
you know,
it felt a little Hollywood forced.
maybe
You
he
know
was
what I mean?
hoping
Yeah.
that she would spare him, the bad punishment, maybe, so that he can continue his zealotness with his droid.
well, he's
army.
gonna go. He's in exile now, so
I feel like there was a little
I mean-
bit of real world politics going on in that scene, and that really took me out of that scene again. And I was
I
like,
don't want you to bring politics into our show.
Yeah,
shows.
please-
real world.
please
Just
stop
leave
doing
it
that.
out.
We
We
just want some
we get enough of
this
it
is a
in the real life.
galaxy
Far,
a
far
long
away.
time ago, in a galaxy
Far,
far,
far.
far away.
It just
Yeah, it's not here.
Well,
So
again, they gave her too
nonsense.
many
Yeah.
lines for all that, and she
People-
just couldn't deliver them well.
People
either.
like what you're saying about Dooku, or what you said about Dooku. He was a visionary.
Yeah.
Count Dooku was a visionary, but the road to hell is paved with good intention.
Yep.
Robert G said.
Yeah, wow,
Um,
that's very well said.
Mhm.
V Stuff and Things, who joined us late, just recently. Thanks for joining.
Thanks
V.
for joining.
Hey.
Dooku was a complex character. Hannah Roll. Dooku
Right.
was correct in lots of his thinking. Island Punch only watched the first episode, but the rest are way better.
You only watched
Yeah,
the first episode,
The first
dude.
episode is
Dude.
not great.
No.
Don't watch
Check
only
out
the
the-
first episode.
I can
Check out the rest
understand
of
why you'd stop after that.
Yeah.
because it wasn't that great.
Literally,
but
the rest of it
them,
is amazing.
Yeah.
yeah,
Dooku,
they're worth
John Pope,
watching.
Dooku, and Qui-Gon. I think he's talking about Tales.
Yeah.
JQ, anyone watch that fan-made Clone Wars film, Captain Turk? I don't know.
No, I haven't seen it.
No,
I'm gonna have to
it
watch
sounds
that.
familiar though. I've probably seen it.
And then John Pope said, "No, is
No,
it
I
out
haven't
yet?
watched it,
I
but
saw
I've
the
probably seen
trailer.
it.
I guess
You know,
there's a
seen
trailer out
stuff
for it, so it
about
must be new, actually."
Oh, it must be new. I did.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw John Pope here. He's got. I like this. It's kind of
Yeah.
diverging a little bit, but he said, "Imagine this. Remember when Bo said she wished she was good at something besides war? Mando leaves Grogu with Bo while he's on missions. Bo watches him reluctantly and discovers her motherly instincts. You know what? I kind of like that in some ways. I'm not saying you sideline her completely with that stuff, but I feel like we don't get enough like tough mothers in a lot of ways. A mom that can be motherly, but also very strong and very protective and can still lead, but still be motherly to children. And they kind of showed that in that one scene whenever she was talking to Grogu. It still wasn't like super motherly, but it was in a lot of ways because she was kind of explaining to Grogu, like, it's okay, you know, he's just proud of you, you know? So she's kind of translating for like the father figure, you know, what he's trying to do. Because sometimes fathers aren't exactly the greatest at explaining what they're doing. And it takes a motherly instinct to come in and explain. So I did like that. So I really like that comment. I know that might not be the most popular opinion out there, but I think that sets a good precedent, and it gives a way better example of females in a lot of ways, definitely other than Lizzo.
She's not a great role model when it comes to role models.
No,
She's not the one you want.
I'm not as hip on all these people, but I don't have time. I'm
You're
just
better
editing
off.
videos.
Yeah.
KG said Star Wars fails mothers.
Yeah.
It does.
It really does.
It's disappointing.
It
Even
has
Jyn
a long track record.
Jyn
of doing
Erso's mom, like she was an amazing character in that book.
Oh, yeah.
What was the book called?
I forget now.
I'll think of it later. If you think of the book, the Rogue One prequel book. Anyway, Catalyst.
Yeah, it's something like that.
I think so.
Catalyst, I think. Anyway, it was just she was so cool in that.
Yeah.
You know, as a mom, and then right at the beginning of Rogue One, I'm like,
Yeah.
there she is. Jyn, or not, what's her name? I can't think of it anyway, but she gets shot, you know, and it's like, that was a chance to show something cool.
Right. And
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, really?
And then she, it was like it subverted the whole book. Like literally the whole book, she was awesome. And then the first like minute of the movie, you were like, they just made her stupid.
I mean, I know you had to follow Jyn, but if they were going to give us something with her, they could have given us something cool of her.
Well, it's
not
not
just like she was like crazed and like, I'm going to kill you. Like she could have done something so much better. Like have traps laid or, you know, help Jyn get away and then go back. You know, don't just walk up and
like it was stupidity.
Yeah, I feel like stupidity. Like that's not her character. You know, you clearly didn't read the book.
She was clearly outnumbered. There was like it was just not a smart move at all. Like motherly instinct would have been to protect her child at all costs. It would have been more like a fight to protect her child and then let her get away than it should have been like her walking out there like that was stupid.
Yeah, Lyra was the name. KG, help me out.
Who was it?
Lyra.
Yeah. The other thing though, really, I mean, if we think about it, this is Disney and they've never been good with parents.
Bambi?
They literally kill off like almost every single one of their
Tarzan's parents died.
They all died.
They all died. Frozen, the parents died.
Frozen's parents died.
Every Disney movie has
Every Disney movie, it's like
What is your
Bambi.
problem?
The Little Mermaid doesn't have a mom. Pocahontas doesn't have a mom.
Nope.
Yep.
How do I know all this?
Frozen.
I'm just kidding.
Because when you think about it, it's very startling.
That is.
It's like literally think of. I mean, I think
Tangled. She actually does have two parents.
Yeah, she's
but
got a
they're
mom
just
and a dad.
not there.
But
and
they-
they just
yeah, and
fumbled.
she-
They gave
some
up. They
creepy
gave up
witch.
too easily too.
Normal childhood.
I'm like, I wouldn't stop looking.
Do they just not know how to write good parents?
I don't think they do. I don't think they know how to write good families. That's part of the problem.
Does nobody who works at Disney have a good family?
Okay, the only it's an emotional pull
Yeah.
is what you're right.
It's easier to write story when you have a character that has grown up with strife and doesn't have it all together, and then they can find wholeness in whatever the thing is later in life. You know what I mean?
The only thing is like Pixar did it all right though with what's the movie?
Inside Out.
Inside Out. That was an actual family. They did that pretty well. I did like that.
And they had a crazy kid.
Yeah,
right. That's some ways.
Moody teenager.
I liked how they showed that.
But
though.
there's some people saying Hera will be a strong leader mom. Hera,
I believe it.
that's a good one.
If they don't
if
ruin
they don't
her.
ruin her,
If they don't ruin her,
I mean,
Based off Rebels, yes.
and there's no dad, so
yeah,
There's another
That's
issue.
there's
true.
no actual couple parent going on there.
Right.
Robert
It's
G.
like Disney
Leia put
doesn't like parents.
Right.
well, they're trying to get the kids to come to Disney World at any cost.
At any cost.
Well, I mean,
It's
it's just funny because it's like Disney World.
I'll stay.
Disney's always been about like families, right? Supposedly.
Well, where the
And,
family's at.
But they don't even know how to show a good family. Hardly.
Not in live action, but that's Hollywood actually, all the way around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some family movies
There's
that
some.
work, but it's
The
just in
Incredibles
general.
is good. That's a good family.
That's a
right
good
there.
one.
That's That's a family.
It's a family.
It's a family.
That's a super
Sheb
duper
Wood
family.
said 100, so we gotta agreeing here.
One hundo.
Stay
One
on
hundo.
One hundo.
We're making it a thing. I need to make that
KG, they
t-shirt.
focus more on father-daughter relationship, which Star Wars does quite a bit. Yes. John Pope, yes, The Mines of Mandalore is my favorite episode. Robert G. Leia put the fight in front of Ben Solo. Mon Mothma, the rebellion in front of her daughter. So, yeah, I agree with Hannah. Speaking of, we need more mothers in Star Wars.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
This, but so Bo, that's what I mean. The few scenes we've gotten, it's pushed her into that motherly role, which just fits her.
Yeah.
And it just works. Robert G's sense of purpose is greater than family in the Star Wars universe. That's what
Wait,
it's.
say that again?
Sense of purpose is greater than family.
In
In the
some ways,
Star-
but
yeah.
I mean, really, Star Wars has always been about family.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're kind of missing the mark. In some
Secret
ways,
Songs, the Organas are good parents to Leia, except that she got out too easily to run away into the woods. Don't get me started on that
Please
chase
stop.
Oh,
All right, moving on.
Man, if
They
you want a
did
good laugh,
terrible.
you watch that.
Oh
season.
man, it was like
And don't take anything seriously because
that
it's
was
not.
terrible. Like so bad. Like
Oh
I
man.
would hire any fan film
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
to do that scene better. They would have done it better.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even matter. Like a blind person. I mean, obviously blind people do great things, but
Wow,
See,
Dustin.
come on. Do you hate
Could've-
blind people,
no,
Oh
Dustin?
my gosh.
they could have done a better
You heard
job.
it here, folks. He hates blind people.
No.
No.
Olivia
No, no,
Roll,
no.
that Kay, speaking of, Lyra was an amazing mom,
Yeah.
especially the one in Rogue One novel, 100%. They did Hera and Kanan. They were talking about that as well, correct. Minus the fact that Kanan doesn't make it.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theory, John Pope. Disney is so bad at writing parents, they made Din an orphan in order to skip talking about them.
Yeah.
Makes
Like-
it,
Yep.
I feel
They're
like
like,
that's
it's-
what they do, though.
Parents are extra work. We don't want to do it.
It's like,
I mean, even Rebels.
nuclear families. Who needs them, right?
Yeah.
because I guess it, you when you write a story, there's a problem, there's conflict, and then you build it up to the resolution. If they start off like whole, right, like they're already a strong person.
Yeah.
They have two supporting parents, and but why can't we get that? We can get that. They can still face a problem,
Yeah. It can still be
a
done.
challenge, and they can call on their mom or call on their dad or both.
Right.
And
you
they
can still have
arrive-
struggles even if you have parents,
Yeah.
Like it's not just
It's not just
It's
gravy.
not-
exclusively they have to
Not
not
all
have parents.
sunshine and rainbows.
Rainbow.
And it can show the supportive nature of parents.
Because I mean, real life, there's so many paths that people are just raised in, right? Our
Yeah.
childhoods form who we are to this day,
Right.
as
Yeah.
we are as parents, how we raise our children, and it's just generational.
Mhm.
So obviously, you're born into what you're born into, and that's part of the real life in Star Wars. And Luke had it hard right out of the gate, with his uncle and aunt, so but he didn't find out. He didn't find out till later, and then he finds out his dad was a horrible murderer, and he's
Right.
like, "Wow, this is rough." And he
Yeah.
barely remembered his mom, and he kissed his sister, and it's a whole mess.
Yeah, that was awkward.
That was
But
what?
Disney's
What?
always, but Star Wars has always been
Don't you know
complicated.
that
But
wrong?
at the end, it was still about family. He hugs his sister in the end, and he makes amends with his dad. So he's able to mend some of those relationships in the end. If Leia had survived, I'm sorry, Padme had survived, he would have probably found her and mended that. They
You're
wouldn't have
telling me. You're telling me that Padme's their mom?
That was so funny.
It
Like
was great.
that when that happened live, I was like,
We were dying.
I saw
Dang.
there was a comment up there that was saying something about the Organos were good parents to
Yeah.
Leia, which
She's technically
she was
an orphan.
adopted
Yeah.
and her mom died
Oh,
and her dad turned
that's
evil.
true.
So again, it's not really a great argument.
Right, yeah.
like biological parents is what you're talking about.
Biological
but
parents
then
just
even in
don't
Mando
exist in
with
real life.
Grogu, and that's such a not normal family either, right?
Dude, Jimmy Smits would be a good dad. He played
Yeah,
a good
he
dad.
did.
in that
He
scene.
did.
He
Who's
did
Jimmy
not
Smith?
have much to.
Smits.
that
Bail
was-
Organa.
Bail
Bail
Organa.
Organa.
Oh, okay.
He just seems like a good
He
dad.
does.
He does.
You know,
Yeah.
Do you want
probably
him
we-
to be your
a
dad?
we
terrible
guess-
person in real life. No, I'm just joking.
We
You want him to be your
guessed
dad,
that-
Dustin?
Never
Yeah,
meet your
Jimmy-
heroes, Dustin.
Remember,
Yeah, right.
we one of our theories was that Christopher Lloyd was her dad.
Right.
Was
That would've been
Bo's dad.
interesting.
Yeah.
We definitely missed the mark on that.
We
one.
did.
We missed the mark on that one.
See,
Because
sometimes we're wrong.
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
get
Sometimes
everything
we're
right.
wrong.
We
We
admit
did call
when
a
we're
few
wrong.
things. Them being, we thought that they were going to be together, or
Yeah.
at least we were hoping.
It's
Uh,
not hasn't officially.
We
happened.
missed the mark with a Rebels character showing up. There was no Rebels characters that showed up in this.
Right.
Yeah.
Although we did call the fact that Bryce Dallas Howard was going to be the one to do love stories,
Yep.
and she definitely did. I think a little too much.
Just wasn't in the right direction.
She's like, she asked John, she's like, can I do a love story with Bo and Din? And he's like,
Not yet.
no. But you can do like 3 other ones of
Right.
any kind that you
Right.
want.
and really beat the people over the
He's
head
like, by
with
the
it.
way, we got Jack Black and Lizzo in your episode, and we also have these 2 fish characters that are going to fall in love.
It's
So
just
just
like-
figure it out.
of all the,
Yeah, but
It was just odd.
yeah,
Odd
Secret
choice.
Songs 20. Luke tried to kill his nephew. Family show.
oh,
Yeah.
don't get me started on the sequel.
I don't think the sequels actually exist.
No, in my mind they don't.
I-
And if
I choose to
I don't
believe
follow
they
them
aren't
as
real.
canon.
and
Yeah.
if the
It's
Mandalorian
more
is,
legends.
if they're
if you ask me.
leading us to the sequels, huge mistake.
Yeah.
Huge
Please-
mistake.
Please don't do that.
I think
Stay away from 'em.
I really think they are at this point because of
Oh,
what they're
yeah.
setting up with the dude chick and
dude chick.
Moff Gideon and all that
The dude
stuff. It
chick.
feels like
Yeah.
they're trying to lean into like the First Order and how bumbling and dumb the new Republic is.
Which, I mean, they were in the sequels too.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I feel like they're leaning into that, and like if you're leading your most successful Star Wars like of all Disney Lucasfilm era
Yeah.
to the biggest failure. I mean, not financially, I guess, but it had definitely diminishing returns,
Yeah.
and they have definitely not made their money
It's
back
just not
off
worth
the
it.
acquisition. Then that is the dumbest move. Do not
Yeah.
lead us to the sequel trilogy. If anything,
Right.
you should be trying to get as far away from the sequel trilogy. Do the World Between Worlds and make it a
Yep.
completely different timeline and get away from the sequel trilogy.
Yep.
I think earlier one of the Roll twins said they like this episode better than the sequels. Or,
Yes.
Um,
They said as bad as this is, it's not going to be as bad as the sequel.
You know what?
Yeah. True.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I agree.
I mean, Mando
I
is
agree
still
with that.
it's a
100%.
fun.
Mando.
You sit down, you eat a brownie, and you watch Mando, right?
eat a
And you
brownie.
usually have fun. Like we're sitting here because we know we're going to go right afterwards and analyze it for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So we have to like instantly form opinions, kind of. But sometimes you just sit down, like you can turn on a Mando episode. Now, there's going to be ones you're going to turn on if you're going to rewatch some. This probably wouldn't be one of them. You're going to know the events that happened at the end, but you're not going to be like, I don't, unless you just want something fun, right? Something goofy. Like I want to see Jack Black again because maybe there's more to it after the first viewing because he's just so funny to us.
I think part of it is who they paired him with.
Right.
That was
Which
a
I
big
didn't
part
know
of
that person, who that person was, and some people might like him her out there. But you know what I'm saying? That didn't bother me.
Don't do your research on it.
I'm not doing it. I don't
You
have
don't wanna
time
know.
to research. I take it at face value, and so that for me was just like it reminded me of like Thor Ragnarok when the guy that was in Jurassic Park, life finds a way.
Oh, Jeff Goldblum?
It reminded me of Jeff Goldblum,
Life,
like that. Like he could have showed up at
finds
that
a way.
place and thrown a party, and they would have all been
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
tone of those in that
Yeah,
movie
I know.
especially was like comedy centric and it
Right.
fit well.
And they could have done this.
fit.
What if Taika had directed this one and they just hammed it up?
They should have had him direct.
That would have
this
been
one.
amazing. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, they
But
definitely should have had him direct.
would you
this
have been
one.
mad if they had hammed it up the entire episode and it was all goofy?
At least they would have been
Yes.
consistent with the tone. That's the thing,
Right,
Like,
yeah.
and they probably wouldn't have done that. But Taika can also do serious
He can.
at the drop of a hat.
Like,
so
and
he can deliver.
And he
Jojo
knows
Rabbit. Yep.
he knows what it takes to deliver that. When it's happy and cheery and funny, it's sunny and no clouds in the sky. When it gets intense, it gets a little bit darker. The
Yeah.
lighting changes. There's reflection off of the helmets. Somebody said that in the
Yeah.
comments. When it's at nighttime, you feel like all of the armor and you see all of that, and because
Right.
you don't see faces. I guess you can see Bo's face and their faces. But like you don't have to put them in broad daylight for this epic action sequence.
Yep.
Just that part was like, yeah, we were going to film it on a cloudy day, but it's sunny, and we got the crew here, so we're just going for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And we got the football field, only for one day. I know there's still 2 people out there playing. They said they had to practice today.
Right.
That's
yeah.
what-
Just give them Mando outfits; they'll fit right.
It's like,
in.
were they just? Was that just an outtake? Like they were actually just practicing with that dolly, that big boom
Right,
that
yeah.
moves into like.
It wasn't actually meant to.
Right,
It wasn't
just
meant to
as
be.
a
The
show.
guys are just on the side, just like, hey, let's
And
just
then
throw a
they
football. We're
ended-
Is
waiting.
that, did
They
that, I didn't
ended in
see
the
that.
wrong
Were
clip.
they actually
Yeah.
playing football?
Well,
They
they were
threw a
throwing.
ball.
I don't know if it's
Yeah.
football. They were throwing
okay.
something.
It was like a head of somebody that they had already killed.
It was a shrunken head.
It was actually the Quarren's head or whatever the
Yeah,
lovers
right.
from before.
They executed her.
They killed
Yeah.
him.
But I think in the comments, Kanye Bull said, "I'd rather have a serious episode." You know.
Oh, yeah.
No,
And, like, we
that's
should have seen
what
Moff
the show
Gideon.
is, though.
We should have seen Moff Gideon.
Yeah, what? Are they just gonna save him for the end, and then it's gonna be like a cliffhanger for
Probably.
episode or season 4?
Yeah.
Like,
Or
the-
they're gonna show him in the next one and then do the big battle in the one after that.
somebody said in the
Yeah.
comments,
Oh, yeah.
we wanted Bodin already to have their moment already.
Yeah.
We wanted
something,
Moff
just something.
Gideon to show up already, and then we want to move this story into Thrawn's space. Like Thrawn shows up in the final episode with
Yes.
all these other people. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
they're moving a lot
And it's-
slower than we want.
And it's not looking like you will.
They're adding fluff. At this point, we'd be lucky to get Moff Gideon at all. You know, we've at least seen all the other characters from the other seasons now, right? We saw her other two Mandalorians.
Yeah.
Yep.
Casca
seen-
Reeves and Axe Wolf.
We saw Grief. We've seen. Has there anything in the trailers that we haven't seen? I think we're completely off the ranch at this point.
I don't
Yeah, I don't
Ranch.
think we. I think we just saw it all by the 4th episode, or at the 4th episode.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that she said, well, because they were kind of I didn't mind the part where they were placating to Bo about like restoring Mandalore. It was smart of them to use that as a leverage point
Yeah.
for Bo and be like, I heard that you were trying to restore Mandalore and that we could help you. If you help us, we could help you. Petition to the New Republic to make it. And I liked how they actually did that. That was probably one of the best scenes with those two characters when they were out there kind of discussing that. That felt like a bigger galaxy type thing. But the only problem was then immediately she was like, no, that's not a thing anymore. But I was like, wait, in the last episode, it was to unite Mandalore and to make Mandalore great again.
Right.
Yeah, was she just saying that to throw him off?
That's why I was confused.
Yeah, that's
a
what it
little
felt
bit.
like to me. She's like, no, that's not a thing. Just to get the permission, because you said they dropped the part about
Well, they were willing to help her with that. But if they helped
recognize
them.
Mandalore.
Yeah.
So
and-
do they
and
now
petition.
recognize Mandalore as, or no? Because she said, no, I don't want to do that.
No. They said the offer still stands,
Okay.
but they were just trying to convince her. And I was like, that was a smart move. Like they actually had like some inside scoop and was like definitely playing into something that could convince her to help them.
Well, because Din was like, he leaned over
He
and at her
was
like,
Smack.
Yeah,
around
he
some
looked at her and
droids,
he was
dude.
like, hey, they got a good point,
I'm going to use that head nod for something.
Yeah,
Right.
So that was one pro, I guess that you could say, and it was building the universe a little bit. I just was confused when she said, "No, we've dropped that." That seemed like something that should have happened like 2 episodes ago, not like the episode after she takes off her helmet and is like, "All right, we're gonna get Mandalore back again," and then it was like, "Nah, that's off the table."
Right. Yeah.
Unless it was just a sidestep thing, or she was trying to be like
Move the mission along.
move the mission along, but it was a little weird to me.
The other thing is like, when do they make these shows? You think about like production. Like, were they making this around the time of Boba Fett? Around the time of Obi-Wan?
It's possible
Because that sequence on that planet looked kind of Obi-Wan-esque, like the same kind of rave, the same kind of lights,
yeah.
same half set, except that it was during the daylight.
The sets weren't bad.
No, I'm just saying, but like they had the similar vibe to them. Like they're reusing is what I'm saying. Like we
Yeah.
got the set, let's use it from Mando at the same time,
We built these sets.
Dang it, and we're gonna use them.
Whereas somebody was mentioning they want to see Thrawn in his full debut in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
His full, which makes sense because if you think about it, you got to create these characters. They've never been in live action.
Right.
Like, that's a big deal. And if you're going to do all that work, you want to use them as much as you can and save it for the right time. Like we're cramming all of our hopes and dreams right into this Mandalorian season
Right.
because we know they can deliver greatness.
And, yeah.
And it's just when we see a little bit too much fluff side, or like the moment that we've been waiting for, like he hands over the darksaber and he makes a loophole to have it happen. We're like, why don't they just fight it out
Right.
in like a muddy bog, and then she wins the darksaber or whatever, and then they kiss at the end, and then the rain
make
comes
out at the
down, and it's the Spidey kiss, right, Phil? Where's Phil?
Yeah. Right.
Where's Phil?
Where's Phil?
We need the Spidey kiss.
I'm just saying that doesn't that work? That kind of worked, right?
Yes.
And then she walks up to the Mandos and she's like, "Check it out. Shut up."
Yeah.
Right.
I'm the
I
leader
got
now.
the darksaber.
I'm
They're
the
like,
captain now.
"Oh, I guess you are. You just straight up won it. We saw you." Not like
I'm the
the
captain
loophole.
now.
Well, it was funny though, even with that whole transition of him giving the darksaber to her, he was like, had to explain the process and like, it works though, guys, right?
Right?
And they're still just sitting there like,
They're like, does it though? And he's like,
You gotta sound
right?
technicality.
and then it was almost like Axe Wolf was kind of like,
It's like a cop out. He's like,
yeah, I guess that
whatever."
works.
But we don't want that. You know, we want
wasn't-
like the moment where they're all like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
You know, we want the cheering and the
It still
crowd to be like
does-
100%.
It doesn't feel earned. It still does not feel earned.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't feel earned. Like they should be cheering for their leader, not like a reluctant, yeah, we're gonna follow you. Maybe that'll come back. And
Yeah.
maybe that'll come back to bite her again, and then she'll have to ride the Mandalore, but maybe Din will have to have the darksaber.
Ride the Mythosaur, not ride the Mandalore.
Yeah, right.
Mythosaur is what I meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know what you meant. He's,
It's
but
all right.
Mythosaur.
so at this
Mythosaur,
point,
baby.
You don't know what you're
he is
saying.
going to ride the Mythosaur, not her. Because we
I don't know.
Now
He's
he
got the
could
She's got the darksaber now. So I mean,
So what does he have?
he needs one of them.
Unless they're just
Right.
gonna give it
Giving
all
both
to
to
Bo.
her?
It's the bait and switch show.
All right.
Well, Grogu's got to
Can't
get
have
something.
Yeah.
Grogu,
He's been knighted.
Grogu's
I
been
mean,
knighted.
come on. By
He-
Lizzo, is there anything better?
Right.
He's Sir Grogu. To
I think
you.
that's the end of his story. Where else can we go from here?
Yeah, where else can we go from here?
we have maximized the creativity.
The creativity.
Yeah.
People in the comments, Din will ride the Mythosaur and Bo has the darksaber. They rule together.
They gotta. I mean,
I asked. That's
That's
what
gotta be.
If they don't do that, it's a
we have
opportunity.
talked about this
It's a
ad
myth
nauseum.
opportunity.
Secret Songs 20. I just don't want them to leave us on another big cliffhanger for the next 2
Yeah.
years.
That's
if
the
they
thing.
do that, it's
Yeah.
gonna be like, guys,
Because you need
we
you
were
need
this
the
close
momentum.
to greatness.
You need the
This
momentum
is-
right now. We got Andor was amazing. Then
Yeah.
you got Mando. Give us something to get super excited for Ahsoka.
Yeah.
But you need to deliver something here, like Dustin said. If they just kind of half deliver,
It's gonna
and they're
feel
like,
like
it's
a
okay.
wasted
Ahsoka's
season.
coming. You'll see the rest of this great story in Ahsoka. Then it'll feel like a dud, a slight dud.
Yeah, it'll be the worst season. If
Other than Dinbo,
Watch him not even introduce Thrawn in the first season of Ahsoka. Wait until the very end of the first season. And be
no,
like, what is the point of
no.
that?
See,
get out of here.
see,
That's what I'm saying, though. They would do that.
Yep.
Star Wars at this point, they need to pull out all the stops.
Yeah.
They need to listen to the fans, and they need some wins. Lately, they have not. It's been like lukewarm at best. Lukewarm. It's been lukewarm at best, and that's the problem. Like people are just like, you aren't like a Star Wars has always been like flashy. It's always been exciting.
Yeah.
It's always been like we're in it, you know, and you can't wait for the next thing, and they deliver upon that.
Mhm.
But lately it's like, ooh, like we all get excited and we're like tentatively optimistic, and then they give it to us and we're all like, yeah, they missed the mark.
Yeah.
You know, but Andor I'd say was the closest to the Andor, they were closest to hitting the mark. They still, I think, dodged it a little bit, but it was just like, come on. Like, I want to see some good action. Just go all out. Like,
Yeah.
throw caution into the wind. Don't give us fluff, and let's just have like a super epic. That's why I almost want a movie. We haven't had a Star Wars movie. Maybe it's just because we haven't had a Star Wars movie in a
That's
long
what
time.
I'm
We put so many
saying,
high
bro.
hopes on these TV shows to like give us everything that we want in the stars. As Nick said,
What'd I say?
What did he say?
Mando is carrying the entire Star Wars cinematic universe on his back. That's why he's so
he
bad
can't
with the
use
darksaber.
very well.
He just gave it up though.
I
so
don't
Well,
know
but-
that he is anymore.
but
Well, the thing is, you think about it, and you're like, these are home runs if done right. Like every single one of these shows that came out could have been a home run. Like they should have been a home run. Like
Yeah.
it's not even that difficult of a format. You have Boba Fett, make him a bounty hunter, do epic
awesome.
things. You know, kill a bunch of people, disintegrate some fools. You know, make him
No
a crime lord of this area or whatever. If you want to do that. Don't
No.
totally nerf
make him do
him.
that.
Not explain very well how he gets out of the Sarlacc pit. Go dances with wolves with the scooter gang. I mean, what? I mean, stupid. And then you got
10 seconds on Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
yeah, and then Obi-Wan. You get that should have been a home run. I mean, that is what everybody was waiting
Yeah.
for. since we heard Disney like buy, we were all like, "Oh, dude, we're gonna get Obi-Wan." For like 5, 6, 7 years, we were like, "Obi-Wan, don't
Eventually,
worry.
we'll get it.
Like, don't worry, Obi-Wan's gonna be the one, guys. Don't worry about it." And then we get Obi-Wan, and it's the worst one of them all.
Yeah.
Like the worst. Like they destroy canon. They nerf him completely. He's a loser. It's a loser. It's a totally bait and switch.
Right.
All right, 10 seconds are up.
He's not a loser, but like
Just kidding.
Riva was terrible. Leia, I wanted nothing. I threw up in my mouth multiple times watching that show, and it
Those
took
chase
us
scenes,
nowhere.
I don't think I even finished the show.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
It was painful to watch.
It was
Like
not
I was
good.
like, wow,
It was like,
how are you this bad at Star Wars?
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So
Rant over.
People were loving your rant, I think, but
Yeah.
They also hate Kathleen Kennedy.
everybody has said
Everybody
Kathleen
does.
Kennedy got to go, and that's what I said.
She does.
They
She's has been
know how to
mismanaged,
deliver.
yeah.
Favreau knows how to deliver quality. Look at Marvel. Filoni knows how to deliver amazing Star Wars. Look at Filoni's work. And then now you've got Kathleen Kennedy or whoever it is up high that's like, well, no, we got to do this. We got to put this in there. We got to put this in there. We got to put this in there.
Yeah.
And they're like, but that doesn't work with the story. And they're like, doesn't matter. You got to do it. So if Kathleen
shut up.
can
Yeah, it's-
move along, I think we have greatness waiting in the wings. And this tone shift or whoever's like,
What it is
dipping their little fingers in.
Yeah, it's Kathleen Kennedy. She has ruined almost every project that's started. I mean, really, she barely got the sequel trilogy off the ground, and she had to fire one director. Rogue One, she hired a totally different director to come in and do a bunch of stuff, from Gareth Edwards to I forget the other guy. Then there was like, I mean, think about all the movies that have been promised, and none of them are coming out. None of them. There was like Rogue One. There was the guys who did flipping
Solo.
Flipping.
Solo, they got fired halfway, or
Yeah.
the whole movie was almost done, and then she fires them and brings in Ron Howard to
Yeah.
totally rework the movie. That movie actually lost money because
They reshot the whole thing.
they reshot the whole thing practically. It was
ridiculous.
and then they
was
fan
terrible.
serviced Maul in there, which is
Yeah, it was like, okay, if anybody's mismanaged this, it's definitely Kathleen Kennedy, but it's also the story group. The story group, whoever they have
Yeah.
set up as a story group, is not creative at all. They only care about pushing agendas and not story, and it comes through dramatically, and it's ruining Star Wars. Star Wars used to be an evergreen product. Whenever they sold it for $4 billion. I don't even know if anybody would entertain that now with
Right.
the disaster that Star Wars is in at this moment. I'm not trying to be down. I love Star Wars, and that's why I get so upset about it in some ways, because I know it can be an evergreen product, and I know it can be fantastic and blow everything away. It should.
Yeah.
It really should.
It should.
It's just the people that are in control of it right now, and where we are in society and with everything going on, it's being trashed, and I hate it. And that's why I want it to be good. I want to get back to what made it good in the first place. So get rid of the people that are in charge making these horrible decisions and get back to what was making Star Wars great. I think that's why we like Mandalorian so much, is because it actually harkens back to the original trilogy, and it treats it with some respect. Whereas everything that's come from Disney, for the most part, does not treat it with the right respect, and it does not even treat it with the right lore half the time. Other than Dave Filoni with Rebels, I'd say that's the only other thing. But Mandalorian, the reason we like Mandalorian is because it feels like the original trilogy, and Mandalorian really it doesn't come close to that. It's just because we haven't got anything like it is why we like it so much, and it's not even like the best show of all times, but it's just because it's so close to the original trilogy that we like it so much. So it's like we're still not there. We're like 60%, and it could be at 100%. And we're just missing the mark every time.
Right.
So come on.
But Andor was so unique, though. It jumped right off the page. We're like, whoa, this is
It was such a different take.
This is
such
awesome.
a different take. It was just a World War II epic with like amazing, like Academy Award winning acting, dialogue, script, sets. All of it was like just the clothes that they wore.
Right.
Like there was no stone left unturned.
I will say
the detail in
the
that was
AK
fantastic.
the AK was
That was a
I
little
did
weird.
not like
good.
that.
I was like,
It
you
wasn't
could've made
perfect.
It looked more Star Wars.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but it was
Yeah.
darn near perfect.
darn near.
Exactly.
But
Hannah
people
Roll.
yeah, go ahead.
Hannah Roll said it well. Loving Star Wars is about hating Star Wars.
Yes. Absolutely.
At the
some
moment.
way.
When they
At the
do,
moment.
Look, you got to call it out. Whenever it's bad, you got to call it out. When it's good, you call it out. You know, we try to be balanced as much as we can, and we try not to hate on it. And we definitely, for the most part, we like Star Wars still. We still like most everything. We
And
have a lot of fun discussing it.
As Takaniable says, they know how to write characters, like from like a poster perspective. Like you said, Din is a great character. Like straight up, Din is an amazing character. You know, if you look at his bio, right? And Bo-Katan is an amazing character. Grogu is a fascinating character.
Although even with Din, I'll say there's not a lot to him. There's not a lot of character growth to Din.
He's a simple man.
I know.
He's a simple dad. making his
He
way
doesn't
through the
necessarily
universe.
have to be, but if you're going to have season upon season upon season,
He's starting to
your
do
main
one note.
character
Yeah.
is going to need to change.
he does need to grow a little.
and need to grow, and there's going to have to be something that pushes him to the next level.
It's Bo.
And I feel like they're not quite doing that in some ways. They are, but they aren't. Anyway, sorry. I'm definitely
People love in the comments Andor, and there was one question up here.
Yeah, Sheb Woods
Sheb Woods.
had a good
Sheb
one.
Woods.
Talking about Mandalorians. If
Yeah.
stay on target were Mandos, which faction would each of you be?
Oh, but let me
Night
just get
Owls.
to Robert
Oh.
G's. That's what it
Oh,
was, and
okay.
then we'll
Oh,
ask
go
that
ahead.
one. Robert G said the best transition to Ahsoka would be Sabine and/or Ahsoka showing up in the next 2 episodes with serious intention.
Right.
Bo knew where Ahsoka was after the hijacking. They must be in contact.
Yeah.
The hijacking of
wait.
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that has to progress. I
What do
mean,
you mean?
Carson Teva's freaking out.
Right. He's putting the pieces together.
He's got it all figured out, you know, and then other people are freaking out. I mean, again, where were those ships from? Where where did they come from that blew up her planet, her base,
Exactly.
you know, or her house, whatever?
Yeah.
It still remains to be seen. So there's some craziness. All right, Lange, what was the question?
So,
Fact
asking
checker.
you guys, what faction, Mandalorian faction, would each of you be? Night Owls, The Watch, etc.
Death Watch.
That's why.
That just makes sense for Nick.
Yeah.
Death
Oh
Watch.
man, would you be a Vizsla? You'd be a Vizsla,
Vizsla,
one
yeah.
Hondo.
Following them all.
Ooh, I don't know.
sure.
That's a like. I feel like we haven't seen enough for me to like pick in
Right.
some
yeah.
ways.
What other factions?
What do we
are
got?
there?
What do we got? What do we got?
Besides Night Owls, The Watch, Death Watch. There's got to be
Mud-
tons.
There's a lot more. I mean,
Mudhorn-
there's
Mud-
in Rebels.
Mudhorns.
There's
Mudhorn.
Mudhorn would be an awesome
Yeah.
one to be a part of.
I think
Although I really wouldn't like the no taking off your helmet thing.
Yeah,
I'm
that would
sorry,
be-
like that would get old.
unfortunate.
unfortunate.
Poor unfortunate soul. No, there's some, but like Sabine. What was her clan name?
She was
The Wren,
she
House
was-
Wren, right?
House
House
Wren,
Wren.
yeah.
Yeah.
Clan Wren. I think that would be a pretty cool one to be a part of because they
she-
were like really savvy with like weapons,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they definitely lived in a pretty cool place. I liked it. It felt like where we live in some ways,
Right.
Like fancy
Hoth.
Yeah, pretty much.
Our place is fancy.
It is.
No,
It
their
can be.
place was fancy. Is what I'm saying. Like their
Why d-
house, like was pretty cool.
Tech savvy.
But
You
yeah,
said it feels like somewhere we live.
well, because it was cold. They
Oh,
they
okay.
fought on like on a ice.
I was like,
Nice
what?
planet.
Yeah,
Ilium.
Ilium. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good. I might just make my own up. You know.
Right.
We got
Might
online here. We got House Vizsla.
Yeah.
You got House Kreese.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
You got House Cast.
Who's cast?
Cast only appearance 2017. Varys Lane Cast. Rook Cast and Varys Lane Cast.
Okay.
Possible members.
Weren't they the ones who fought
And
for? I think they were the ones who fought for.
They showed up in Rebels.
Yeah. Okay.
Clan Wren with Sabine Wren.
Yep.
And then Clan Saxon.
Yeah.
yeah.
They're red.
That's who Nick
Yeah.
would be with.
With
Saxon.
Maul.
Yeah, with Maul. Clan Rook. They have multicolor looking armar.
What's Finn
was
Rao's
a part
clan?
of I don't know
Probably
about
Clan
that.
Rao.
Clan Rao, baby.
Awad, AWAUD.
What?
It was in a book apparently.
Wow.
Clan Elder.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah.
a lot.
They
There's a lot of
they
them.
pledged themselves to Bo-Katan Kryze following the fall of Tiber Saxon as governor.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
See,
and, then,
this-
and then Clan Mudhorn.
Mudhorn's cool. Everything that you just said with all those different houses and all the different clans, like that's what we should be going into in the Mandalorian. We
Yep.
should be like diving deep. Screw all this like side story stuff with all these other planets. Like, just go deep into the Mandalorian like culture and world. Like, show all the different factions. Like, are they backstabbing each other right now? Give us some intrigue into like, what house would you want to be a part of? What sets them apart? What makes them different? What makes them unique?
How are they all going to work together?
We know minimal, I feel like, about each clan, so it's hard to choose.
Like, develop their culture, develop their politics, develop how they work together and how they don't. Like,
that would be like an Andor quality show. Like, we need time. You have to have amazing script writing because you got to get into the nitty gritty of the details.
Right.
You got to have emotion. It wouldn't be a flashy show as much, but it could end up in a big battle, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe they can do that down the road if Bo-Katan gets her own show with Din. The Mandalorian stops because they figured him out. Then they go back and follow Bo as they reunite Mandalore, and now we can kind of merge the two, right?
Yeah.
So you can go into the houses, and they can figure out where we're at. But we got to get their characters. We got to get Mandalore rebuilt.
Right. Maybe that's what season 3 is setting us up for. Maybe season 3 is setting us up for season 4 being like diving deep into the Mandalorian culture. And how is this going to work together, you know? And how are we going to stay afloat?
Yeah.
I could see that. But it'd be like, go ahead. What's the super popular show that I was trying to talk about earlier?
I don't know.
With
the one with the dragons?
Dragons, yeah.
Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones. Okay. It needs to be almost like Game of Thrones with like all the different factions and stuff like that going on. And because that show was successful for that reason. It was like very interesting. And people die like a lot. Like
main characters
die like all the time, but it serves the story, you know, it works.
Right.
Like, I could see them maybe not going that adult theme for Star Wars, but having that kind of mythos going on.
Right.
Mythos with the mythos.
I was trying to say, Kit M said Sabine was calm, clan Ren, House Vizsla. They never quite clarified the difference between a house and a clan even.
Oh, okay. Well,
you know,
explain that stuff.
Exactly. That's what I mean. We want to know. That's what Star Wars fans want to know. That's why we're all here talking about it for 2 hours. We got to know the nitty gritty.
Don't be doing silliness on like some weird planet that we're probably never going to come back to.
Exactly.
Like, let's develop.
We never come back to.
Right. They kind of developed a backstory for Jack Black. Like,
he was an Imperial officer.
Yeah. I don't believe
seriously. I don't believe that either.
Yeah.
He was obviously a comedian.
I would him rather have been a bounty hunter or something.
Something goofy.
No, he should have been a musician,
just
like
a
really famous musician in the Star Wars universe.
Playing jazz or something.
He'd been playing with the modal nodes. You know? Got famous.
Aaron Havoc said, so thinking on it, what we all think needs to reasonably happen in these last two, for us as a community, consider this season to be a success. So I guess what he's saying is it comes down to these last 2 episodes.
It does.
Yeah.
JQ asked the same thing earlier.
Oh, and JQ did. Yeah, it all really does hinge on the finale. And Andor, we kind of put the pressure on Andor for that finale, but we had so much goodness building up to that. It really could have knocked our socks off, and it didn't fall that short, but it wasn't the action that we wanted, right? It just wasn't the action that we wanted.
They just didn't deliver.
Right.
The finale was not like
no, it wasn't over the top.
Mandalorian finale.
Yeah,
it needed to be a Mandalorian finale. I feel like
this needs to be a Mandalorian.
Syosin said this season is already an L. I don't see the last 2 saving it overall. Change his mind.
They got to go like a completely different route if they're going to try to save it.
It's going to have to be all like Moff Gideon, Mandalorians, and maybe Thrawn with like some Rebels characters. I feel like they're going to lean into all those things, and they're going to try and pull like some intrigue. Moff Gideon's going to have to do some damage, but really we don't. And or they're going to have to unite all of Mandalore. But at this point, okay, so she's got this culvert back now. So she's in charge of them again. So she does have a larger fleet.
Yeah.
I could see them at the very end, like the Imperial remnant of Moff Gideon shows up to like Mandalore or Navarro or like some planet where they're about to like blow the snot out of them, or they're like declaring to the New Republic that they're gonna be at war again, and then like and then she shows up with all the Mandalorians, and there's like a huge epic battle between the Imperial remnant and the Mandalorian like all their ships and everything.
Yeah.
That would be pretty sweet. And then it looks like they're going to win. It looks like the Mandalorians are going to win. And then, you know who shows up? The
Thrawn.
Chimera. Thrawn shows up.
Yeah.
And then he just starts annihilating them.
Yeah.
And they have to tuck their tails and run back to Mandalore
Yeah.
and barely escape. We're going to lose Mandalorians. Not all of them, but we're going to take some heavy L's there.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to end the season. It's going to be Empire Strikes Back. And then we're going to have to regroup, come back together for season 4. We're going to have to learn a lot about each other and figure out a way to beat Thrawn, Moff Gideon through Ahsoka, because we're going to have Ahsoka, and then it's going to lead back to the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And I want Mandalorian season 4 next fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't
wait like
do
2
it's
years.
It's going to be a
Don't do
while,
that.
though. It's going to be a while. He said he had it written by the end of filming season 3.
That's good.
So,
Yeah.
I
and
really
I don't
hope
know
they
when
cut
they
out the
They
finish
honestly
filming.
should be filming season 4 right now.
They really should.
I am also hoping, again, my theory here is that the last 2-3 years in any entertainment industry has been quite chaotic.
Yeah.
And so there have been compromises that have had to be made. There's been all the landscapes to battle through. And
Yeah, I
in this
could see that.
in this actual world. So I'm hoping as the years tick on and things are able to get back to normal, right? We've heard that these shows can continue to improve because now they've got a lot more options. And the problem is they still need to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy and take a different direction there.
Yeah, it's just like
so
if
that
you're-
there's more freedom in creating things, like
Right.
new creative directors, put it different positions in place, like Filoni's taking over all the story, or you know what I mean? Hire these great cinematic people to make great Star Wars movies again with like their free reign on creating. Go ahead.
Maybe not free reign. So that's the problem with Star
Have a
Wars.
through line.
Yeah, you don't
Well,
want to
yeah.
give complete creative
Kevin
control.
Feige, a creative, like Filoni, he's shaping the whole story because
Right,
he's
right.
You need
George Lucas's son.
you need a visionary to,
You're
to
like,
guide
this
the
is
story.
this is the parameters you can work. in.
Yeah, basically. But I did hear a rumor today that that Disney might be selling Star Wars.
God, give it back to George Lucas.
What if George Lucas bought Star Wars back? He could do
Realized
it.
how
He's
terrible
probably
of a
one of
mistake
the
he
only
made.
people.
Yeah.
You know what? I would not be surprised if he did.
Yeah.
But in some ways, I think he wants just to be done with it in that part of his life. But I think if he bought it back,
He doesn't have to do a ton with it. He
No, just
has
have it.
to be in,
yeah, in
You know?
control and guide it
Yeah.
the way it needs to
No, just buy it back, And then
let Favreau
put it in the reins of
and-
Dave Filoni and John
yeah,
Favreau.
and
Right.
Let them go.
be. And don't have
And
them
just be a
beholden
consultant.
To, yeah, and don't have them beholden to Disney. Because
Exactly.
they need to get
Yeah.
away from Disney at this
They
point,
do.
I feel like.
I mean, they got Bob Iger back. They were in trouble. Disney was in trouble.
Yeah.
And they got
Still
Bob
in
Iger
trouble.
back, and it's
Which
still
the problem with Bob Iger is that he put everybody in place who
Correct.
led
Before.
it to this
and
trash
he
heap.
was involved in the purchase. He was the guy that shook George Lucas's hand with the check for $4 billion.
Yeah, and well, it wasn't. It was a lot of stocks and stuff like
All
that
right,
too.
well,
but yeah, no, it
measly
was a
1.5
value of
billion.
it was a value of $4 billion.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, I mean,
Yeah.
But
that was the deal.
but then he completely backstabbed him by not doing the
Anything that he had written.
yeah, which George Lucas went into the agreement under the assumption that, which was kind of a mistake on George Lucas's part. He should have had it written into the contract.
Yeah.
But he was trying to let it go. I think that's why he was kind of let it go. But he wanted to be a consultant for 7, 8, and 9, and he had a treatment for it. But they completely backstabbed him right off the bat. And if that doesn't tell you immediately that they're going down the wrong path,
Right.
that they're not
What
even
their
gonna-
The
intentions
original
were.
visionary.
Yeah.
yeah, the one who made it what it is and why he's selling it for $4 billion, they're not going to go with his ideas.
Right.
That's
just
a
bad.
huge mistake.
That's just bad business.
It was just stupid.
yeah.
You just dumb.
You know,
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be in control of $4 billion.
Yeah.
right. Well, I mean, that's why they're laying off people left and right. Part of it, I guess, is, probably from 2020 in a lot of ways, but not really. It's because it's a lot of reasons, but
Yeah.
storytelling has not been great the last couple of years, like you said, Dan.
Right.
So
Robert G said Lucasfilm's publicly owned on the stock market. John Favreau and Filoni buying 50.1% of the company would be enough.
that's a
Yeah.
lot
You're
of
going to
money,
need George Lucas's dollars in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I'm sure it's
Backed
valued.
by George Lucas.
It's still probably valued like quadruple what it was when George Lucas
Yeah.
bought it. It probably still is, even at the downturn, because of I mean, they made billions on all those movies,
Yeah.
But even though they could have made trillions on those movies
They
if they
could've.
were this is why Star Wars fans are jaded, right? I mean, we've been dealing with this for like 8-9 years almost.
Yeah.
It's been rough, and like anytime we find a glimmer of hope, like we hang on to that thread.
Yeah.
And Rebels was solid, but again, everything
That was a glimmer.
around since 2019, all the animated stuff kind of slowed down, and we've been just waiting for greatness. And Mando has given us some greatness, right? Some good moments. It's definitely what we're excited about right now. We've been very excited about the prospect, but now it's getting down to the nitty gritty.
The nitty-gritty. You're going to have to deliver.
Are we going to deliver the goods, or are we going to fall on our face again? I think we're going to get some goods and some face.
Anything left in the chat? I think we're going to have to start wrapping up here.
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes.
Anything else in the chat, fact checker?
I
Or
don't think there's questions. There's
no
just-
more questions.
They're talking amongst
They
themselves.
are talking amongst
Yeah.
themselves. That's fine. So there was a lot. I told you it was going to be a bumpy road tonight, and we definitely let our feelings and opinions fly. And we're glad that you did in the comments. If you like this episode, that's awesome. I'm glad that you enjoy Star Wars for what it is. We didn't quite enjoy everything, but there were definitely aspects of it that we still enjoyed.
And the fact checker really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact checker,
Yes.
yeah, we didn't get a lot of your take on that fact checker. Did you want to say anything about it?
No, it's fine.
And I'm not
I like
hating
it.
on it as much as you guys overall, but because again, I didn't know all the characters that you guys didn't like or whatever coming into it. But hey,
You
and
will
I
when
didn't
show
say
you.
spoilers. But I don't need to be shown.
You'll
But
be scarred
fact checker, you got
forever.
anything else on the particular episode?
Maybe just I see the bigger arc. They're pulling together all the Mandos. They're gonna join forces with the Children of the Watch group.
Yeah, they'll have to join forces. But
And
what's
yeah.
going to make them join forces? Moff Gideon.
Well, that's the whole point of her
Yeah.
going there.
Yeah, true.
So
The
I don't
armor
know.
told her
I'm
to do
curious
that.
to see what happens there. So I don't mind some of the fluff.
Ooh, we got a 4 out of 10, eh?
Oh
I wasn't gonna
we
go
do
that
got to rate
low.
this.
Yeah, I
we
asked
got to
in the
rate
chat.
this and get
Yeah,
up
yeah.
on out of here.
So they're rating it 10. Hannah gave it 10 out of 10. All right,
Wow, hey,
that's
Glad you
what I'm
liked it.
talking about. Yeah. Olivia 8 out of 10. Docking points for the needless filler.
Yep.
Aaron as a Havoc as a self-contained short story. It was fun, but as a wider narrative, it was a very jarring.
yeah,
He said jarring. He didn't say the D, but
That's another T-shirt design.
for Hannah, the pros outweigh the cons. So I mean, again, that
Good.
story at the end. That's power
Yeah.
to you. John Pope 3 out of 10. Den being a bad
Wow.
cop is the only reason I'm that high.
Yep.
Did being what?
A bad cop.
Yes, I
Jake-
love that. That was the best scene.
JQ 8 to 9 out of 10. Wow.
Yeah.
Jimbo.
Allie Howard, stay safe, my nerd family. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes,
Yeah.
thanks for tuning in. Man.
See you
We
later.
Appreciate
It's
it.
definitely fun talking with all you people.
Oh, yeah, for
and
sure. That's
reading
like
these
the best
comments is
part.
a blast because they got some good takes. Takane Evil 6 out of 10. Island Punch Productions 7 out of 10. Secret Song 7 out of 10. Some scenes were really good, but overall 7. Rewatch it. I rewatched it 4 times. You'll appreciate it more. Robert G.
Wow.
I don't think
Okay.
I'm not. I can't do
Yeah.
I
that.
hate to say you're wrong, but you're wrong.
I'm
I
gonna
just-
I'm gonna rewatch it 72 times.
Yeah, right.
And I'll let you know my thoughts at the
I'm
end
gonna
of it.
rewatch it at least one more time, and
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't tend to rewatch. So
You're not a rewatcher.
you get what you get.
Maybe
Yeah, what
when
you
the
get.
maybe when the whole season's out, I'll rewatch it.
Yeah.
But
I don't
No.
even see myself doing that.
I almost
Jane
want to do
Doe.
like a binge of like all 3
All of 'em?
seasons.
Yeah.
Like, I
Maybe
wonder,
that's what we do the night of.
I wonder if things would pop
Between
off
midnight
better.
and 3.
You know?
and this is where they went wrong.
That was the other thing I was gonna say real quick was like the intro to this, like the recap was like the longest recap we've
yeah.
got.
It was like every episode.
Probably
It
about
was so
45,
much.
50
Yeah.
seconds.
The recap was filler. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it was like they had to catch you up on so much. You're like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
and it was
oh.
all scenes of the darksaber.
Oh yeah, pretty
which-
much. That was the through line.
Yeah. And then the
then
very end we get
we get that.
hey, it's yours.
And you see him slice the
Seriously? That's it?
rogue robot in half once,
Right.
Yeah.
which was cool.
That
Well,
was
you could
that
tell
was
he
his
still wasn't
final-
under control of it. It basically pulled him down into it.
Yeah.
It took all his strength to get it up and pull it into it, but
Right.
Remember, he's carrying the weight of the entire
He's carrying
Star Wars
the weight.
cinematic universe on his back.
he's feeling it.
wields it like a claymore.
It's leg day every day for him.
All right, let's rate this.
All right, let's do this.
I'll give it a 7.
That's what I
Solid
was thinking.
Ooh.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
7.
Yeah.
7 out of 10.
All right,
7
Matt.
to 10.
That's what you're going with too.
Yep.
All right, Dan. What do you say?
I'm gonna say 7.5 out of 10.
Lame.
You're wrong.
Wrong.
What?
Really?
That's what you're going with?
Really?
Would you stay up to watch this? Oh yeah, I would. Really?
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 All right. Oh my gosh. What about you?
What
What about you,
Dustin?
fact checker?
You're
I
not
was
gonna like my answer then.
go with it.
8.
8
Oh,
out of
all
10.
right, 8.
Yeah.
Say 8.
You know what?
I'm an 8 again.
I'm an 8 again. You know what? I'm gonna go 6.5.
I figured you were going.
I'm a little lower than everybody
Ah,
else. on
yes.
this
Welcome
one.
to the dark side.
There's definitely some good
Yes.
moments, but overall for me,
Just silly.
I could cut out a lot of it and be very happy with a lot happier with
Yep.
the episode.
Yep.
I can appreciate it for what it is, but tonally, I think you need to tighten up. Tighten up.
Tighten up.
Tighten up.
And I think I ranted on that enough for tonight,
Yeah.
baby. So we're going to get the heck out of here. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us tonight. We appreciate every single one of your comments and for being here. It's a lot of fun talking with you guys. We're glad you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it for the most part. Some but. Did I say some but?
Some butt.
Some but.
Speak
We
words,
really like
Dustin.
food too. We should we should like review this while we're like making some food or like
Yeah.
eating. Maybe not eating. That would get really annoying.
Yeah, just
No, I
smashing in
yeah,
the
no,
mic.
I would love to.
We
eat
need to
while
That's
have
it's
a
eating.
exactly
food-
what Nick would do. He
Like
just
every-
eats
I mean, most of
things
the time
in
I'm
mic.
not even talking, so I could just be eating.
Like if we actually watched this show the night before and then like before we got to the review, we actually had the food metaphor in front of us
Right.
that we felt about the show. That would be
Yeah.
pretty epic. We really know how to
As long
relate
as we
food.
get to eat the metaphor.
We will eventually.
I love eating metaphors.
What's your food metaphor out there? What's your favorite food? Let us know in the comments below. We want to know. What's the best food to eat Star Wars? Is it
To eat Star
fizzy-
Wars.
Frogs, frog eggs.
no,
Yeah, it's those frog eggs.
eat while watching Star Wars. I kind of missed some words there.
Yeah, there you go.
What's
food to eat Star Wars? What's this? What's words? Me dum dum.
Me dum dum. Oh man, well that's our take for tonight. Thank you guys so much again. We'll be back next week for some Mando Eve on Tuesday. Look out for some shorts and some other videos we're going to be having coming
And on
out.
that bombshell.
Or Dinbo.
More Dimbo.
We need some more custom writing here.
Yeah, I love the crude writing.
The crude writing is
It's just
definitely
it's a
the best
mouse.
part.
You know, you can't really make it, any
It
better.
really
Consult the timeline.
pulls
Consult
it
the
together.
time. It does.
And
Just-
don't forget about
Oh
this guy over here.
Yeah, there you go.
Be up at 3 a.m.
Awesome.
Binging Jedi Temple Challenge to catch up on Keller and Beck lore. I love that. Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's good stuff.
So many good memes
did
out
not do
there,
that.
baby.
Right.
All right. Well, don't forget to tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your frenemies about us. Everybody dies at some point.
At some point.
And
Spoiler alert.
spoiler alert. Anything else before we get on out of here, folks? Any words of wisdom? Any Star Wars McNuggets?
McNuggets. No.
Whoa, copyright. I don't know.
Are they?
No.
I
Dimbo.
think they're
McNuggets.
just called nuggets.
We just need to
Are they
see.
called McNuggets?
I feel like it.
I think they're called McNuggets.
McDonald's.
That'd
It's
be a
McNuggets.
fail if they
Everything's a
didn't.
Mick there.
Mick. Hey.
They're Irish?
They are Irish.
Yeah.
They got the luck of the Irish in them.
Have a good Easter.
Yeah. Happy Easter,
And
everybody.
Happy Easter.
Find some frog eggs.
Do
When
not
your Easter
feel-
egg hunt.
Yeah.
Do you not realize I've had diarrhea since
Easter's.
Speaking of Jack Black,
Jack
Speaking of
Black
Jack
movie.
Black.
and
that
happy
is.
birthday
Yeah.
to Zarhimoto out there.
Yes.
One of our OG
Happy
fans.
birthday.
Going down.
Zarhimoto, happy birthday. And for a low cost of
Birthday
$200, we
happies.
will shout out your birthdays too in the comments.
That's right. That's right. And where's
Wow,
that merch,
Dustin.
Dustin? We want a T-shirt that says
Oh, my goodness.
"Happy Birthday."
Yeah. happy Easter, happy birthday. We love you. And
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Merry
Year.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy
All the
Kwanzaa.
things.
Oh,
So
Happy Hanukkah.
whatever it is.
until next time, everybody, you stay classy.
Yeah.
What?
Bye-bye.
That's how it goes.
Digital wave.
Yeah, do the digital hand clap.
Digital hand clap.
See you next
Digital
time.
hand clap.
Dimbo
do
for
that.
the Wimbo.
So, if you like that video, well, that's on you, because that video was trash. Now, I could tell you to go click on a link and watch the whole video, but I'll let you figure that out for yourself. Honestly, I don't know what I'm doing on this show. I'm kind of just here. So I'm just going to sit here while you make up your mind. And I'm going to contemplate life choices.